Joke's on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this week of fun transmissions. I'm sure it's going to be a busy week after everything we saw this weekend and already what's going on today. I think President Trump with an all-nighter. But hold on, guys. It's Monday. It's Monday, June 15th, 2026. Welcome into today's transmission. We actually have a bit of an unorthodox show today. Bit of an unorthodox show. Let me explain. Very light on the news. Now, normally on a Monday, you're thinking a very heavy news day, considering you have really 2 or 3 or 4 days of news to catch up on. But we're actually very light on the news today, and I want to explain why. I'm going to do something in the second hour of today's transmission. And for many of you in the regular audience, you may not like it, and that's okay, because we're kind of repurposing the second hour. And really what we're going to be doing is kind of a documentary style presentation. That's what I'm going to be doing. And the reason why, I was waiting to do this for about a week, really. And I was kind of making a bet that the circumstances that we ended last week on would not change. And so I could hold off and wait, and I could do this transmission today, and I could let the evidence and let the receipts pile up over the weekend so that I could do this presentation today. This is going to be, the second hour is going to be like a documentary style. And here's what we're going to be documenting to a ridiculous degree. We have so much evidence. We have so many receipts today. It's going to be overwhelming of what it is that I'm going to be documenting. And what is that? Well, if you go back to really over a year now, last spring, when much of Trump's base began to get concerned about the direction the administration was going, we were a little concerned about DOJ. We were concerned about foreign policy, the Epstein files, so on and so forth. And so that's when the grumblings started. And then in June, you had Operation Midnight Hammer that was supposed to end all of this nonsense with foreign policy. And of course, it didn't. And so people like me, part of the original MAGA, and then the broader coalition that won in 2024, we started to get concerned. We started to get upset. And what did we see? We saw you had a new Trump cult that had formed. But as far as the political coalition, it was neocons and it was foreign loyalists. And we all watched this play out over the last year. And what remained consistent as far as these new lines, these new political lines that had been drawn, what had remained consistent was that the new MAGA coalition, with a relentless consistency, had been bashing the original MAGA coalition. And of course, we've well documented how this is a reverse reality, a Twilight Zone inversion of what was original MAGA versus what is now, like a Ben Shapiro, a Mark Levin, former never Trumpers, now the MAGA gatekeepers, the faces, the voices of MAGA, as they claim. But the new broader coalition was attacking the older broader coalition, calling you panicans, or me, calling me panicans, calling us panicans, all these different names, all these different attacks. And ultimately the demand was you have to be loyal to Trump and you have to trust Trump. That was really their only demand. As far as the policy differences and the debates that we've had, those have played out. But their demand was always, you have to trust Trump no matter what, and you have to be loyal to Trump no matter what. This was always their demand. And now here we are today. And I've been documenting this, waiting for this for a week, because I knew over the weekend it would play out. And now here we are today, And the new MAGA coalition, whose only demand of you was to trust Trump, the new MAGA coalition, whose only demand for you was to be loyal to Trump, now today, as Trump has claimed to gotten a peace deal accomplished, this looks to be as real as it's ever been. We'll get into the details of that. But now the very people who demanded that you be loyal to Trump, the very people that demanded you trust Trump, all of them have turned on Trump. Oh, that's right. All of them have turned on Trump, and they're insulting Trump, and they're making anti-Trump memes. They're calling him a loser. They're calling him the worst president ever. Whoa! So is this another example of us just being ahead of you in the political cycle? Or is this us being right? Or is this Trump taking a turn? Regardless, what hypocrites. What beautiful hypocrites. And just as I have been warning Trump for over a year that these people would stab him in the back as soon as he went against their true desires, as soon as he went against their true agenda, their true loyalties would show, their true agenda would show, it would all show, and they would all turn on Trump. And now we have it, and I have so much overwhelming evidence that the second hour is going to be obnoxious today. I'm warning you. The second hour is going to be obnoxious. It's going to be redundant. It's going to be ridiculous. I have compiled the receipts. I'm doing this as a documentary so that you can see these frauds, so that you can see these phonies. And it'd be one thing if we were just dealing with policy issues domestically and maybe people were flip-flopping on policy here. No, this is different because many of these people aren't even Americans, for starters. And the demands, the entitlement they believe they have over our president, over our people, over our blood and treasure, this entitlement on display. But no, it's not just that. It's the fact that they're foreign loyalists, and that's what's being exposed. And it shows you the only reason they ever supported Trump was for foreign interests. And now that Trump might not be delivering the foreign interests, which is their biggest priority, now that Trump might not be in alignment with where their foreign interests are, all of a sudden they have all stabbed Trump in the back. All of a sudden they have all turned on Trump. And it's a beautiful disaster to witness, I have to tell you. It's a beautiful disaster to witness because really it has to be seen. All of this had to happen. And now everybody can see it. They demanded loyalty of Trump. They demanded that you trust Trump. But the day that Trump might take a shift on foreign policy, or the day that Trump might not prioritize Israel and his foreign policy, or the day that Trump, God forbid, gets a peace deal with Iran, all of them have turned. All of them. And it shows you where their true loyalty lies, whether they realized it or not. And it's beautiful to watch. And we've got the overwhelming receipts. Now, that's going to be an obnoxious second hour. That's just a warning. Now, I will say this. We will come back. Trump is in Geneva. I think he pulled an all-nighter. He was up till like 2 a.m. last night at the UFC 250 event. And I guess he went right to Air Force One because I woke up and he was speaking in Geneva, meeting with Macron and others and talking about a peace deal. He did look a little tired this morning, or I guess it was last evening in Geneva with the time zone difference. But we'll look at some of those headlines. I will say this because we're going to come back and kind of start on a lighter note before we get into the obnoxiousness of it. Two things. So I'm going to be doing an entire second hour of, hey, look, I was right about this. But I will say where we left off Friday. Let's give credit where credit is due. The U.S. men's soccer team proved me wrong, and I couldn't be happier to say that. Greatest performance we've seen in decades from the U.S. men's national team. So happy to be proven wrong on that. And that kicked off what was a pretty unbelievable bread and circus weekend, if I do say so myself. USA wins Friday night. The New York Knicks win Saturday night. The Carolina Hurricanes win Sunday night. And then it's all topped off with UFC 250 and Justin Gaethje defeating in a massive upset last night, representing the United States at the championship fight, the main event at UFC 250. I gotta say, they did that deal right. So I am glad to be proven wrong on that. That whole event, as tacky as it may have come off at times, and perhaps even arguably inappropriate with shirtless guys and guys in flip-flops and slides and towels running around the White House. Debatably inappropriate, debatably tacky. But you know what? Everybody had fun. The event went off pretty much without a hitch. And so I give them credit. Everybody had fun. Looked like a great time. And I will say, too, in case I forget, just so people understand, the fact that they were able to pull that off last night with zero errors is beyond impressive. I can't imagine everything it took to get that done. And considering that they couldn't just do dry runs, they just couldn't do perpetual dry runs until they felt comfortable, like it was just total muscle memory. The fact that, because it's at the White House, obviously, so who knows how many dry runs they were even able to do for this event? Maybe one or two with the actual site? Maybe. The fact that they pulled that off, the team that pulled that off, that is impressive work. As somebody that's seen behind the scenes of TV production and everything it takes, that was impressive. So I give them credit. So, hey, you know what? I'll admit it if I get something wrong. I think this weekend in D.C. turned out to be quite a delight. And the USA men's team totally proved me wrong. I'll take it. I'll take these. I'll take these being wrong issues over the weekend. But more importantly, we'll cover where I was right, because that is more consequential. So all of that and more coming up on today's Owen Report. Guys, today's show is brought to you by Allegiance Gold. All right, well, I think we already know why people are talking about precious metals, talking about getting into silver, talking about getting into gold. I think we're all well aware of why that is, but you might still have some questions. You might still wonder what is the best move, maybe some concerns. Well, all you got to do is give my friends at Allegiance Gold a call. That's it. Just give them a call. The call is free, 844-790-9191, 844-790-9191, or go to protectwithowen.com. But if you have them on the phone, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. Whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings, they make it simple to move into something real before the next reset, which we're all concerned could be right around the corner. When you're thinking about where do I want to go if I want to maybe transfer something into gold, a 401k savings, where do I want to go if I'm thinking about this? Well, you got to make sure that the company you choose has an A+ review with the Better Business Bureau. That's Allegiance Gold. A+ review. That's because they are relationship driven and transparent and focusing on educating you first. So go to protectwithowen.com. That's protectwithowen.com. Check out our friends at Allegiance Gold when you're ready to make your move to protect your wealth, because no one else will.
Turn my system 1-1.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back after the weekend. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It was a fun weekend. If you didn't find a way to have fun this weekend, I'm sorry. That is unfortunate. Plenty of opportunities for fun this weekend. But maybe we'll get to that in a second. Because the big news today, President Trump is in Geneva for the G7 summit. So I guess after the UFC 250 event concluded last night, he went right to Air Force One and flew to Geneva. Hey, by the way, was that, for those that watched, was that presidential band last night unbelievable? I mean, holy smokes. You want to talk about just pure talent. That was incredible. That band last night was special. But anyway, so Trump goes right to G7, already making headlines, pulling an all-nighter. And there were already talks of a peace agreement. Trump seems to be committing to this agreement. Right now, they say they expect to have the deal done by Friday. Now, this has all been developing over the weekend. And it's hard to get a grasp on the whole spectacle right now. Because Trump obviously wanted to go into the G7. He wanted to go into Geneva with the hopes of a peace deal or even some semblance of an agreement before he got there. And he wanted to get Netanyahu and the Israeli lobby off of his back. Clearly, he wanted to clear the air and have some peace at the end of last week and last weekend for the event before going to the G7. So clearly that was the goal. Israel tried to disrupt that as usual. Again, started their bombing campaigns and everything else, continuing to destroy any hopes of peace in the region. But Trump didn't really respond. In fact, what we're hearing today is that after Israel started attacking Iran in the most recent wave and Lebanon, Trump called Iran and asked them to call off the attacks. Now, again, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep pace with all of this. But it sounds like in this last cycle, Trump asked Israel to stop bombing. Israel said no. Trump then asked Iran to stop bombing, and Iran said yes. Now, folks, as if the last 2 years, some of you will be saying, oh, Schroyer, it's been decades. Fair enough. But most people are catching up. As if the last 2 years have not been the biggest indicator that if there is one country keeping the Middle East from peace, it is Israel. If the last 2 years haven't been the biggest indicator of that, I don't know what it's going to take, except maybe it's this weekend. Except maybe it's this weekend that's what it's going to take. Because it's never been more obvious. All of these claims that they make about Iran turn out to be true about Israel. And just to avoid any confusion, because you always have to do this stuff, this is no endorsement of the Iranian regime. So let's just, before the usual factors come to play here, let's just drop that trope before we even get there. Okay? Nobody here is endorsing the mullahs. Nobody here is endorsing the Iranian regime. So just go ahead and put that back in your pocket before anybody decides to even pull that card out. All right? So okay. If Trump calls two countries and says, will you please stop bombing for a weekend? Will you please stop bombing so we can talk about peace? And one says okay, and the other says no. I think that's a pretty good indicator of which side has no interest in peace. I'd say that's a pretty good indicator. And you could even argue, and this is why when we get into the second hour, and I bring this trove of receipts, hundreds, guys, it's going to be obnoxious, I'm telling you. Trump, it could be, you could be in a situation where Trump just saved Israeli lives. Who knows what the latest bombing that Iran would have launched against Israel could have been like? Who knows? Israelis could have been back into bomb shelters for nights. More infrastructure could have been destroyed, residential buildings, who knows what else. More Israelis could have died, could have ended up in a hospital. And Trump stopped Iran from bombing Israel. And they turn around today and they're mad at him. And they're screaming at him. And they're throwing him under the bus. And they're calling him a loser. I mean, if this doesn't show you everything of what we're dealing with from our greatest ally in the Middle East, I don't know what will. They refuse to have peace. They refuse. They simply refuse. And then they're not even grateful when Trump stops a country from bombing them. Excuse me? Tell me why we should be dealing with these people at all. At all. And this is why they beat you over the head with their pseudo-religious reason. This is the exact reason why they beat you over the head with the Holocaust, is so they can get away with this outrageous behavior, because nothing else would excuse it. So that's why you always end up at the base level here of, oh, but the Holocaust. Or maybe it's, oh, but radical Muslims. Well, we're all sitting here watching Israel behave more radically than any other nation on earth. We're all watching Israel refuse to have a peace deal. And now, when Trump stops Iran from bombing Israel, instead of the Israelis saying thank you, they turn around at Trump and they say, F you. Why would we be dealing with these people? Now, I might be hopeful, and I likely am. I don't know if I'm ready to bet on this one. The stock market could be an indicator this week. Maybe we'll get to that. It's up today. I think the world wants peace. That's what I think. We see who doesn't want peace. But I get a little hopeful. I'm getting real hopeful, and it's probably a false hope. I have to accept that. It's probably a false hope that I'm feeling this way. I'm probably even going to bet against my hope at some point this week. But I'm hoping this is a major turnaround for President Trump on foreign policy. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm hoping Trump pulls back and says, look, I've given you more than a good faith effort, talking to the Israeli lobby, talking to Netanyahu, talking to Marian Adelson, Susie Wiles, whoever it is he has to talk to, or the thousands of people that are going to be blowing his phone up about this, or coming to the White House. I hope Trump says, look, I have given you every opportunity for the last year to get on board with a peace deal. I have given you every opportunity for the last 12 months to get a peace deal done. I have spent over $75 billion on this war for you guys. I have tanked my approval ratings. I have tanked the economy. I have tanked gas prices. I have sacrificed almost everything here since I got elected for your agenda in the Middle East. And you guys have failed to deliver. You guys have failed to deliver. You have failed to come to the table, and you've shown that you really have no other interests other than your own. And so maybe it's time to just cut you loose. And that's the rhetoric that's coming from Israel today. So yeah, I'm probably getting a false hope because I know it can't be that good. But I'll tell you, I have a glimmer of hope. I'll tell you, I'm looking at Trump and I'm saying, President Trump, please, please say enough is enough. The fact that the Israelis are not grateful for everything Trump has done for them should be the last straw. And many of you would say, well, it should have been the last straw 10 straws ago. Hey, that's fine. But to me, it's like, this is the last of the last. If the Israelis cannot be grateful, hey, look, if you still want to go to war, fine. If you still want to have a war and you still want to bomb all of your neighbors and try to expand your borders in the Middle East, fine. We are not going to get in your way. You are more than welcome to continue that excursion. We are not going to get in your way. But it's reached a point now in the negotiations where we cannot help you. We cannot help you in this excursion. And now it's starting to cost us dearly. And we've tried everything we can on your behalf to make this a deal that works for you, and you just will not agree to it. And so we have to go on without you. Good luck. You're on your own. Now, I think what you'll see when we actually get into this subject material, I think what you'll see here is that the Israelis are actually panicked. And they're kind of like a kid that is so spoiled and has never been told no before. And so they don't really know how to handle it. And so Israel is being told no for the first time ever by the United States of America. And they're throwing a temper tantrum. And they're telling mommy and daddy how much they hate them. And so normally when this happens and you're dealing with a petulant entity like this, you put them in timeout. You put them in timeout. Or I don't know. Maybe they just decide they want to go at it on their own. You know, maybe they just decide they're going to run away and they're going to go at it on their own. And so we say, fine, good luck. Good luck. We're out. We're not helping you. Good luck. Good luck in your war with Iran. Good luck in a war with Lebanon. And just good luck. Just good luck. And as far as all the other payments that we make to your neighbors in the Middle East to stop them from bombing you that we call foreign aid, like Egypt, we're actually going to stop those as well. So when those calls start coming in, and we're just going to say, yep, sorry, good luck, hang up, and it's going to be a whole new world in the Middle East. Now, that might be a little too hopeful. That might be completely unrealistic. But I see a window of opportunity. I see a window of opportunity. I don't think it's a 0% chance. Now, if that is not the case, I think another thing is extremely possible here, or maybe two things or a series of things. I'm watching the stock market, which is up big today. And I already told you I regretted not totally bailing last time this happened. And I'm thinking this time, maybe it's time to just totally bail out. I think you could be seeing my concern is you're seeing one last major pump and dump before they really get into this war. That's my concern. So I don't know if that's going to be a week-long deal. And that's why Trump is saying we're going to sign the deal on Friday, because they're going to pump this thing all week long. And then something bad doesn't happen, whatever, Friday goes down, and then everything tanks next week. That's kind of my concern, I will tell you. But if not, if this is all organic, it's hard to believe anything is organic in politics. I know. But if these developments have any semblance of being organic in nature, then I really think after this G7, if Trump finally tells Israel, you're on your own, good luck, everything can get redirected into the right direction if it matters. We're just talking about political mile markers here. But everything can move back into the right direction before the midterms. Now, again, forget about, I'm just telling you, the midterms, that's just a political mile marker. Will it be enough to swing it back? That's not what this is about. I'm just using that as a timeline. But I could see there being an opening here. I could see there being an opening. And if Trump is as stubborn as he seems to be, and he sees this petulant behavior from Netanyahu and Israel, and he sees how unwilling they are to act in good faith or to engage in even an attempt at peace. And now it's like, as far as the commentary is concerned, it's all gaslighting. It's all inverse reality. Everything they accuse Iran of doing, Israel is guilty of doing. Doesn't mean Iran isn't guilty of it, but Israel is guilty of it. So the American people are totally fed up. And this could be after what a wonderful weekend of the bread and circus. Summer is here. 4th of July is around the corner. If there is a window of opportunity to turn this thing around, if there's a window of opportunity for Trump to get this thing right back into the direction it needs to be, and get out of the foreign policy debacle, get out of the sand trap of the Middle East, get out of the death and destruction here, and get back where we need to be on domestic issues, maybe we can turn this thing around this summer. Just maybe. Could be some high hopes. I will accept that. But I can't help it. I can't help but see the window of opportunity there. And then you got Gavin Newsom. So, and it's like, is this a sign? Gavin Newsom is reporting during a press conference today that Trump is investigating he and his wife. Now, that would be big because I think that that's an investigation that leads to some pretty serious corruption. Now, who knows if any of this is real, but I will say either Gavin Newsom is a great actor, either Gavin Newsom deserves a Grammy, or what do they give him, the a Tony or something, a Golden Globe? What do they give daytime TV actors, an Emmy? Either Gavin Newsom deserves the daytime TV Emmy, or he is really freaked out about this investigation, because he looked like he had just seen a ghost during his press conference. I mean, he did not look his normal, no, he's normally got that hue. He's kind of got that Patrick Bateman aura. He's got that hue about him. Today it was not good. Today it was a I'm boned aura. So maybe it's all hopium, but that's where I feel we're at here on this. Israel refuses to leave Lebanon, vows to hit Iran with all our might if Tehran attacks. This is the big what if. This is the big what if. Will Israel fight its war without the U.S.? That's the question. Is Israel willing to take the risk of fighting a war without the United States backing? I don't think so. I really don't. And it's the call of their bluff that has them so pissed. It's everyone calling their bluff that has them so angry today, which is just a beautiful thing, but we'll get to that. Now, quickly, though, we would be remiss. This whole war, let's hope it comes to an end this week. Let's hope Trump gets us out of there. This whole war really has been quite a clown show. And you have to be looking at it in retrospect and just asking, what in the hell is really going on? Because we can look at the general direction of things and reach conclusions from that. But as far as the day-to-day, it's just totally nonsensical. So just a quick reminder of how insane this whole thing has been. Here's a compilation. This was from The Daily Show. A compilation of all the different times Trump has claimed the war was over. This is a doozy.
We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. You never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over.
Militarily, as far as I'm concerned, we've essentially defeated Iran.
I don't need your aircraft carriers after we've already won.
Oh, I think we've won.
I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won.
I do see a deal in Iran.
Mr. President.
Could be soon.
We've beaten and completely decimated Iran. We won. Okay.
Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me. And the reason is because we've won.
I view it as very close to over.
We're very close to making a deal. That'll be a great thing.
We had Iran right from the first day it was over. It was over. And now it's even more so. They want to make a deal. We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours.
We think we're close to a deal.
We're close to a very good deal.
One way or the other, it's finished.
We're very close to having a deal. And if we don't have a deal, we'll do it one way or the other. Either way, we win.
I think that the deal could happen in the next week, but the deal could also happen months from now.
All right, so you look at this in retrospect, and you can't help but just laugh. You can't help but laugh at how clownish it is. You can't help but laugh at how absurd it is when you actually look at it from that perspective of this is what he's been saying since day one, literally. But hey, let's look at all potentials. Let's look at all the potentials. I really feel like you can only believe one or two things. I don't know how much middle ground there is on this spectrum of potential here. I feel like there's only two places where you can land. One is, upon watching that, coming to the conclusion that this whole thing is just a clown show, coming to the conclusion that this whole thing is a circus, and whatever he says, whenever he says it, really means nothing. Whenever Trump talks about this stuff to the press, it holds no water. It's just empty words. So that's one conclusion you could reach. Just total clown show. And I think that's the conclusion most people have reached at this point, including myself. I'm only willing to reconsider today at the hopes that we can finally get this going in the right direction. Now, here's the other conclusion that I would allow you to reach. And I disagree with this conclusion, but I think that this is a conclusion that at least some people have, is that you might even call it, it's kind of QAnon in its presentation. But basically that Trump has had this whole thing in control the entire time. And he's just been hoping that the counterpart here, Israel, would at least at some point be willing to come to the table and make a peace deal. And that if it failed at a certain time, he was just going to make a deal with Iran. And that'd be that. And it's actually ironic, I have to say. It is actually ironic to be sitting here, and if you look at the merits of the war, or you look at the merits of the potential peace deal or deal with Iran, remove any concept of Israel as an ally from your mind. Remove any concept that you have any commitment or loyalty or even a demand of one of the two to Israel. Remove all of that from the equation. And if you just look at this from a bare bones perspective, strategically speaking, it seems like making a deal with Iran would actually be the smartest move that Trump could make. Why wouldn't Trump make a deal with Iran? Again, remove Israel from the picture here. Remove any concept that we have a partnership or a friendship or an allyship with Israel. Just remove that. Because outside of that, really, you can't find any reason. Why wouldn't Trump want to make a deal with Iran? This gives Trump more negotiating leverage over the Strait of Hormuz. This gives the United States of America maybe more negotiating leverage over trade with China when it comes to Iran and oil exports. It really actually, from a neutral, bare bones, just measuring the metrics of a deal, it makes more sense for the United States to enter a partnership with Iran than it does with Israel. And really, I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close, because if you actually look at the real world metrics of these deals, what is it that Israel offers us? Oh, well, they offer us intelligence or whatever. Well, what does that even mean? Why do we need you for intelligence? And it doesn't really seem your intelligence is trustworthy anyway. So that one doesn't really sell. No. And if you want to go with the Muslims are your enemies, and the Muslims this and the Muslims that. Well, you know what? I got a feeling that the only reason we have any problems here with the Muslim nations, the only reason why America might have any issues with Muslim countries is because of our partnership with Israel. And so I might reach the conclusion that if I get rid of my partnership with Israel, all of a sudden the opportunities for me to make deals and be friendly with the Muslim nations open up. And they might actually be more beneficial, considering all the resources and all of the wealth and all of the trade leverage that you might have with these countries. So now I'm looking at this and I'm saying, Trump could be a genius. He could cut off Israel entirely, which has been nothing but a net negative on our foreign policy. And he could start cutting deals with Muslim countries that prior might have been our enemies, now could be our allies. And we could actually benefit from all of this. And if Israel wants to play alone in the sandbox, and if Israel wants to isolate itself from the rest of the world because they just can't help but wanting to bomb everybody, then they can take that route. Then they can take that path, and they can line up with Netanyahu, or they can line up with Ben-Gvir or any of the others, and they can take that isolationism because they're the real isolationists. They're the only barbarians now if Trump can cut these deals with the Muslim countries, including Iran, then they're the only barbarians still at the table. They're the only ones huffing and puffing, drenched in blood for war. The only one. So, yeah, I'm looking how all of this could play out, and I have a glimmer of hope, I will tell you. I'm not telling you I'm betting on it. I'm not telling you I'm buying it. I'm just seeing a window of opportunity, and I'm praying Trump takes it. That's all. I'm praying Trump takes it. So I feel like there's either a real window of opportunity for total foreign policy reform, which is really what we voted for. Total foreign policy reform here, new negotiations all around the Middle East that are actually prosperous for people. And then maybe we can get the domestic agenda back on track. Or I think we're going to witness a giant pump and dump, and the war will be back on in a week from today. I feel like this is your spectrum of potential outcomes for this week's news cycle. Now, I will say, if I am going to be betting on it, I'll probably know by tomorrow, because I already regretted not taking advantage of the last pump and just dumping. I may do that tomorrow. So if I am going to bet on it, that would be my bet, is I would just get out of the stock market tomorrow, assume it's going to be volatile, or even have a massive drop next week. Now, you may think you can wait it out and play it close to the edge. That's a more risky play. But that's the way I see things developing right now. All right. Before we do go to the first break, I know I already said this, but I give big credit to the Trump administration. If you want to call the event tacky, okay, there was some certain tackiness to it. If you want to say maybe even inappropriate to having these guys in the White House, shirtless, boxing, walking around in flip-flops. All right, I hear those points. I'm not going to push back. I think those are fair points. But having said that, I would say this weekend went a lot better than I anticipated. I give the Trump administration credit. They pulled this weekend off. I didn't think they'd be able to do it. They did it. I give them credit. This weekend, it looks like everybody had fun. The event last night went off without a hitch, which is like almost impossible. I can't even believe it, to be honest with you. I can't even believe that the event went off without a hitch. Folks, when you try to organize an event like this, you have no idea how hard it is, especially when you're talking about live TV. You have no idea how hard it is to run a show like that. And the fact that they didn't even, it wasn't like they're in a stadium where they could do 100 dry runs. They had to set this thing up. I bet maybe they did 1 or 2 dry runs before the actual event. Maybe. The fact that they pulled that off, I mean, whoever was responsible for pulling off that production, that is unbelievable. That is truly an unbelievable thing to pull that off with no mistakes whatsoever. And I was even, I'm kind of 50-50. I loved the presentation. It was such a pro-America show that you had to like it. I mean, how could you not like it? Here, Trump Critic 101, Trump Critic to the extreme here. I don't know how you could watch that and not enjoy it, honestly. If you couldn't enjoy that presentation, it's just maybe it's time for some self-examination. Maybe it's time to just not let politics ruin your life, not let Trump and crew ruin your life. I thought that was an incredible presentation. I get it, laden with propaganda and everything else. All right, we all see it. I get it. You got to be able to enjoy life. And I think they did a great job. I give them credit. I think they did a great job. And I think everybody that went to D.C. this weekend had a great time. And then they finished it off with an excellent fight where the American wins. Now, before we do that, Joe Rogan was obviously in attendance. I'm surprised there wasn't more of an outrage. Hey, but Joe still gets along with Trump, even though he's been relatively critical of Trump recently. he still gets along with Trump, as we saw at the fight last night. But just, here's some of the stuff that Rogan has been saying on his show lately, and they let him on there.
We're all pissed. We all thought that, all that stuff was going to be released right after the election. We're going to drain the swamp and find all the pedophiles. And
well, the first term was more like that. That's what gave me hope for this term. The first term, there was some draining the swamp going on, I felt. Then we had the Biden disaster, and now the second term has been, I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what it is.
Well, it would have been a whole lot different first of all, if we didn't bomb Iran. I feel like we bombed them the first time, we were good. The second time was like, even the first time I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
And then when they were saying like, this is it, the escalation's over, we're going to work this out, like, oh, phew.
Yeah.
And the second time when we bombed them, I was like, oh, fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and most people don't want it. That's the real problem. Most people in the country don't want it. Now, look, I'm no fucking foreign policy expert. I don't know what's going on over there, but I do know that all the people I know that really support Israel above everything else, they're fucking super happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but all the people I know that are like America first, or people that are like no new wars, that really thought that we're going to change things, and this is all just for money. We're not going to sacrifice soldiers for fucking money. Those people are all upset.
That's not all Joe Rogan has been saying that people might want him cut off from Trump for saying. He's also been on his show with his guests expressing concern that there might be a conspiracy around Charlie Kirk's assassination. Oh, God forbid. But Rogan was up there last night, and the reason why it's important is because Rogan is about as close to the mainstream mindset on politics as it gets, as far as a big talk show platform is concerned. I think the Rogan and his guests are as close to what you might consider the average American's thoughts and opinions on politics as you're going to find on a big platform out there. And so that's why Rogan is kind of a barometer, as a meter of where things are at, is a pretty good one. Not, say, a Mark Levin. That would be an awful one. That would be you're not going to understand anything. And, I will say, too, there's a sign. There's a sign that, and I know we all know that this is happening, but it's just like, how do you explain it as far as what's something you can point at and say, this is exactly what I'm talking about? So Mark Levin he's crashing out today. He might be our crash out of the day. We've got a Mark Levin clip coming up. So Mark Levin is, he's in the running for crash out of the day here, brought to you by crashout.energy. But I guess he makes some joke about Trump and Groypers and Nick Fuentes in his crash out today. Mark Levin crashing out that, well, I don't even know what it is. Normally it's that Israel can't bomb and keep killing people, but they are. So I don't know what he's crashing out. I guess because Mark Levin can't control Donald Trump. I guess because Israel can't yank Donald Trump around like a dog on a leash, at least not every time. And so that's why Levin is crashing out. But he makes some reference about Nick Fuentes. And I think Mark Levin has about double the followers on X that Fuentes has. Plus, Levin is verified and Fuentes is not, which does boost you in the algorithm. And so Levin makes some veiled attack on Fuentes, posts it to his multi-million followers, gets 300 likes. Fuentes replies with his unverified account and half the followers of Levin and gets 10,000 likes. Now, say whatever you want about social media. The reason why these numbers are significant is it shows that the old guard is irrelevant, is what it shows. It shows that the old guard is dying and becoming irrelevant, regardless of whatever you think about Levin or Fuentes. It really don't even matter. Whatever Levin or whatever Fuentes is expressing in this exercise really doesn't even make a difference. It shows how the youth is slowly coming of age, and the numbers are about to go in our favor. The numbers in 2 or in 3 election cycles are all about to flip in our favor. And so people kind of put that at about a 50 age, about age 50 threshold of where do we really start to see the generational differences on foreign policy. People usually put it at about an age 50. Well, all the Levin mindset type of people are not going to be around in 2 or 3 election cycles. And then all of the people that have, let's say, a more Fuentes type of mindset, they're now coming of age. They're now getting into their 20s, and now they are about to replace that voting bloc. And the massive swing that we're about to see politically from this, I don't really think we have properly been able to measure. And so, yeah, I do think social media is a good measurement for that. I do think it's a good mechanism to understand where things are going, because it's just undeniable. You can repeat this exercise without fail. You can repeat this exercise. Even before Mark Levin blocked me, I was 10xing him on ratios when I had like 1/5 the followers. So it just shows the voices that are like mine, the people that think like me, we are coming of age. We are taking over America politically. Our only concern at this point to the people like Levin is, are you going to leave us anything salvageable? Or will you really try to sacrifice this entire country for your agenda? That's the real question. And that's why there's so much heat on Trump right now, because he's supposed to be the one preserving something for us, getting the ship going the right direction before the younger generations take it over. So, hey, it's quite a burden, but this is what he was elected to do. And I'm just hoping that maybe with at least the foreign policy, we're starting to decide it's time for reformation. It's time to realign this ship. Just maybe. That's my hope, at least. That's my hope. All right, now here's what we're going to do. I talked about this. This is going to be obnoxious, guys. This is going to be obnoxious. I'll reintroduce all of that, or I'll reintroduce all of this when we come to the other side. The next hour, it'll probably take an hour. I got about 100 receipts. The next hour is going to be dedicated to proving that the neocons and the foreign loyalists who pretended to be Trump supporters, who pretended to be Trump loyalists, were all faking it. And the only reason they ever supported Trump was because they believed Trump was going to act on Israel's best interests all of the time. That's the only reason why they supported Trump, is because they believed Trump would put Israel first. And now that Trump is negotiating a peace deal that I guess doesn't put Israel first, you see how they're all stabbing Trump in the back and they're all turning on Trump, which is their final greatest act of hypocrisy, because all they demanded from you when you had differences with Trump, or when Trump went against campaign promises, all they demanded from you was to be loyal to Trump and to trust Trump. But it's funny because they don't hold themselves to that same standard, do they? And maybe we'll see a Ben Shapiro and a Mark Levin crash out. Maybe they're going to be competing with David Pothurst today for our crash.energy crash out of the day. So we're going to have all of that coming up. It's going to be obnoxious. The receipts that I'm going to bring today that show you all of these new MAGA cultists that tried to replace us were all there for one reason and one reason only, and that was for foreign interests. And I'm going to show you this to such an obnoxious degree with hundreds of receipts on the other side of this break. So not only am I going to show you the hypocrisy of the foreign loyalists, I'm also going to show you the hypocrisy of the new MAGA that refuses to call them out. Because let's not forget, when it was you or I that was critical of Trump for the last year, this new MAGA, they were all over us. Oh, they were all over us all the time. But now that the foreign loyalists are turning on Trump, new MAGA is silent. They won't even say anything.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
You have found your political compass. The Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, what we are going to do here is document to an absurd degree, to an obnoxious degree, to an overwhelming degree, that the new MAGA coalition of neocons and Israeli loyalists, their support for Trump only existed insofar as his support for Israel and Israel's exertion over Trump could be executed. You might even say that their entire support for America as a country is hinging only on, can that support benefit Israel? So as long as Trump and or America is benefiting Israel, you see the neocons and the foreign loyalists support America and support Trump. But the minute Trump, or right-wing politics, conservatism, however you want to put it, starts to put America first, you notice that all of a sudden their loyalty to the cause, their loyalty to Trump, their loyalty to the country, all of a sudden it disappears. Now, we've all witnessed this to a certain degree since Trump was inaugurated in 2025. But over the weekend, we have witnessed this to such an absurd degree that I feel it is worth coming on here and documenting for the next hour. And the reason why this is important is it shows how Americans' prosperity or potential has been squandered by these very neocons and foreign interests for decades, for many of us, for our entire lives even. And it also shows the one thing that's been now inherently obvious, that their patriotism only extends as far as it benefits Israel. But now the cat is out of the bag. And while we were watching this new MAGA coalition of the neocons and the Israeli lobbyists, as we were watching them, their only demand for you was that you trust Trump. Their only demand for you was that you stay loyal to Trump. These were their demands. And so when Trump went sideways on other issues like no new wars or gas prices are down or anything else, and we raised concerns, they told you to be quiet, panicking, trust Trump, be loyal to Trump. And then they attacked you if you weren't. Well, my, how the tables have turned. My, how the hypocrites and foreign loyalists and fake MAGA that co-opted the original MAGA movement, my, how they have all been exposed over this weekend. So exposed, they've even exposed themselves. This is why we're going to document this today. So not only does this show how America's prosperity and potential has been squandered by these very neocons and foreign interests, we also see how they've co-opted MAGA and used it against us. Not to mention the hypocrisy that we see, not to mention the gaslighting that we see. And now we're starting to get to a point where Americans are realizing that virtually everything we've been told as far as foreign policy or the decisions that are made, virtually everything that we've been told has been based off of a lie. And it appears now the reason why there's no peace in the Middle East is because of Israel. This is what most Americans who are following this is the conclusion that they have reached. But to get back to Trump, to get back to our country, I knew this day would come. I have been waiting. Not only did I wait through last week, assuming that this weekend would happen and they would crash out worse than ever, I have been warning Trump that this day would come. And anybody that listens to my show, I said, Trump, the minute that you don't give Israel the war they want, every single one of these people will turn around and stab you in the back. And now that's exactly what we're witnessing. So get ready. We're going to document this to a ridiculous degree. Many of you will probably be so sick of this by the time I'm done with this presentation, you'll say, never again, please. Please leave me alone with it. Never again. That's how much evidence. That's all the receipts that we have compiled today. But it has to be done. This has to be put on display. We cannot let these foreign loyalists dictate our policy ever again. We cannot let these foreign loyalists co-opt a true, organic, grassroots American patriot movement ever again. These people must be exposed. We must show these hypocrites. We must show where their loyalties truly lie so that Americans can understand and move forward without their undue and unwarranted and deceptive influence. And that's what we're going to do now. So we'll start here. These are the headlines you're going to see in the Israeli media today. Don't bullshit us, Trump. Netanyahu loyalists rage at treacherous United States over Iran deal. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's allies said U.S. President Donald Trump was a loser and Vice President J.D. Vance was a scumbag, while one prominent loyalist described both as the modern Chamberlain. Oh, look at that. Boy, how quickly they turn. And it shows you all they cared about, all they ever cared about was another war for Israel's benefits. That's all they ever cared about. Using the U.S. blood and treasure to kill their enemies in the Middle East, which now their enemies expand beyond the Middle East. Now it seems the whole world is Israel's enemy. But there it is. As soon as Trump didn't act as an Israeli firster, as soon as Trump is acting as the American president and not putting Netanyahu's and Israel's wishes and desires first, they all turned on him. It shows you how shallow that loyalty was, doesn't it? Oh, don't worry. We're just getting started on this one. But remember, we've been here before. Let's not forget, this was last September. Netanyahu is on his own island. Trump will try to secure peace with an isolated Netanyahu. The White House sees Israel's leader is losing his grip, but the president has been reluctant to apply real pressure. So we've been here before with Israel being isolated and showing its true colors. But Trump has always bailed them out. The question is, will Trump bail them out again as we see their threats or whatever else they're going to do, maybe new Epstein drops and drips? Yes, we see all of the loyalists attacking him. But that's the question is, will Trump remain strong or will he cave again? And then what are the factors that will lead to that? Or is it all a ruse? I guess that's the other option we have to consider. Or what will happen to draw us back into this war, perhaps, is the question. But let's go. Let's look at the crash out. Let's watch all the fake Trump loyalists. Again, they only pretend to support Trump. They only pretend to support America as long as America does everything Israel wants, as long as you benefit America, or as long as you benefit Israel, then they'll support you. But as soon as you won't do what Israel wants, they won't support you anymore. And now we've seen it. So here's one, John Podhurst. Here's our potential winner of crash out of the day. Number one, John Podhurst, in response to this potential peace deal.
I honestly don't know if it could be worse, because if this war ends the way I fear it's going to, America is going to be in a strategically, tactically, and militarily worse position than it was under Biden and before Trump came back into power.
Now, let's be clear about what he just said. This is their great deception. This is their great gaslighting. Everything he just said is, first of all, it's not true about the United States of America. It's likely the opposite. It's highly more likely that if we resolve our issues with our enemies in the Middle East and we don't have to spend blood and treasure and exhaust all of our military supplies in the Middle East, actually, all of these things are beneficial to the United States. So beneficial, in fact, we really don't even know how beneficial, because it's been so damn long since we've even experienced it that. But let's be perfectly clear. That's not even the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. That's not even the gaslighting that I'm talking about here. Everything that he actually is saying is true about Israel. He's not talking about America, folks. This is what you need to understand. He says America, he means Israel. Everything he says here is about Israel and is true about Israel, not America. So you have to understand what they're doing. This is their gaslighting. This is their deception to make you think that Israel's best interest and whatever results, how they impact Israel, impact you. It's a lie. Not only is everything he says false about what will happen for the U.S. and the U.S. military at the result of this peace deal, everything he says is true about Israel if the peace deal. So listen to it again now. Listen to it again now with this understanding that what he's talking about is true about Israel, not America. And then you'll understand why they're so panicked.
I honestly don't know if it could be worse, because if this war ends the way I fear it's going to, America is going to be in a strategically, tactically, and militarily worse position than it was.
No. Israel will be in the worst position. America will be in the better position. And now you see where their true loyalties lie, folks. Now you see where their true loyalties lie. And they're so committed. I mean, you got to give them credit. I mean, these people really love Israel. I give them credit. They are patriots for Israel. I give them credit. I'm a patriot for America. They're patriots for Israel. The only difference between us is that they pretend they're patriots for America, but we all know what it's really for. No, everything he just said is true about Israel, and they all know it. This is the big moment, folks. This is the final big moment in the big reveal here. And they all know it. The United States of America has been subsidizing Israel's existence for our entire lives. But perhaps more importantly than the charitable aspect, the United States military has been stopping who knows how many countries, who knows how many of its neighbors. The United States military and our relationship with Israel has been the greatest protection mechanism of Israel, and why they've been able to get away with all of their military actions, not just in the last 2 years, but in the last 2 decades. And they know it. And they know if that protection mechanism of the United States military is removed from the equation of their military decisions, guess what? They can't make the same military decisions. In fact, it's unlikely that they can make any of them anymore. But that's just militarily. You take away the United States of America subsidizing Israel's entire existence. Whoa. Whoa. Did you see the Israeli stock market today? Yeah. And folks, do not fall. Do not fall for the trick. Do not fall for the tactic when they say that this is anti-Semitism. It's not. This is a geopolitical discussion, and everything I'm saying is true. And when you put this perspective into your consumption of everything they're saying, you understand why they're saying it. Because otherwise it makes no sense. Say, well, gee, why would this be negative for America? Why would gas prices go down being bad? Why would that be bad for America? Why would the stock market up be bad for America? Why would a peace deal be bad for America? That doesn't make sense. Because it's not bad for America. It's bad for Israel. They just say America because they want to trick you. It's a giant trick. It's a giant bait and switch by these foreign loyalists and deceivers. And we're not falling for it anymore. And we're not going to fall for your bullying tactics and your name calling anymore either. But I'm glad this moment is happening. I'm glad the big reveal is happening, and America's people can finally see the true colors of our so-called greatest ally. And Americans can finally see the true colors of the Israeli loyalists that have manipulated and penetrated our political media, our government to such a degree that we can't even recognize the difference between the two. Not anymore. Not anymore. No, they know the truth. They know the truth. Without the United States of America, I don't know where Israel is at today. Without the United States of America subsidizing Israel's existence and our military backing them up so that nobody touches them, I don't know what happens of Israel. And now they're starting to realize it. And maybe they look at Trump as their last hope, considering where the younger generations of Americans are going on foreign policy. Maybe they look at it as Trump as their last hope, which actually makes things even more dangerous for us, quite frankly, and the potentials that could come our way in order to keep America fighting for Israel. But this is the big moment. This is the big reveal. And I say good. I say good. It's about time the American people get to see this for what it is. Ben Shapiro. Who's surprised? Ben Shapiro is upset with a peace deal. I couldn't have called it.
Across its border, as we'll see, if the United States is going to suddenly become an advocate for the idea that Israel can't defend itself, then this is a giant L for the United States and for our allies.
That's not it. So already Ben Shapiro is lying. And of course, we all know what that means. When they say Israel has the right to defend itself, that just means Israel has the right to kill whoever they want. So even that trope is old. No, this is America that has subsidized your country, Ben Shapiro, your country's entire existence. And this is Trump trying to negotiate a peace deal. And yes, using that as leverage. Absolutely. Why would Trump not go to the table knowing that we have that leverage over Israel? Now, I don't know what leverage Israel has over Trump. We know the leverage they have over Congress. It's called AIPAC. About Trump, I don't know. But no. I love how Ben Shapiro poses this one. It's just like, oh no, if you don't do everything to benefit Israel, it's somehow bad for you. That doesn't work anymore, Ben. Nobody buys that anymore, Ben. What does he say here?
Is going to suddenly become an advocate for the idea that Israel can't defend itself?
Oh, yeah. That Israel can't defend itself. No. If Israel is not going to, we subsidize Israel's existence. Trump is using that as leverage to say, hey, Israel, we subsidize your existence. Stop bombing everybody. Can you just stop bombing everybody for a day while I try to do a peace negotiation? And then the Ben Shapiro's pop up there. How dare you? How dare you say we can't kill whoever we want? How dare you say that we can't defend ourselves? Okay. Tell you what, you can bomb whoever you want. You can defend yourself however you want to define those terms. If Ben wants to move back to Israel and say that to the Israelis, he's more than welcome to do that. If he's going to speak to Americans, we have the right to disagree, and we will. And the vast majority now does. But that's what Trump should say. He should say, hey, Israel, you don't want to stop fighting? You don't want to stop bombing Lebanon? You don't want to stop bombing Iran? Fine. No more money, no more military support. You're on your own. And let's just see how big and tough Ben Shapiro is then. Let's just see what Ben Shapiro has to say then. Because isn't that what they want? That's what they claim they want. They claim they want independence. They claim they want to be able to attack and defend itself whenever they see fit. So fine. So we're out. We're out. We're no longer your ally. We're no longer your partner. We're no longer going to subsidize you. No more money coming in. No more military support. We're out. And you know what? Maybe we'll cut a deal with Iran. Because that's in our best interest now. But you guys are on your own. Let's see. Let's see how tough they get then. Let's see how big and tough Ben Shapiro goes on air when Israel no longer has the backing of the U.S. military and the U.S. Treasury. Let's just see. Let's just see, because this is the big game of chicken happening in D.C. right now, happening in Geneva right now.
Then this is a giant L for the United States and for our allies.
Of course, because it's an L for Israel. So Ben Shapiro considers a peace deal an L because it's not what Israel wants. Of course, this is a win for America. A peace deal would be a win for America, but Ben Shapiro, of course, doesn't represent us then. I guess he represents something else.
Israel has the right to defend itself against threats, but the attack it was responding to was very small and meaningless. Nobody was hurt, injured, or killed, and should not disrupt this important process. I really don't think the president would see it that way if, say, Mexico had fired a bunch of drones into American soil and blown them up, and no one got killed.
Except that didn't happen, did it? No. So it's a hypothetical that doesn't happen, so that doesn't work here. That's funny. Here's never Trumper Ben Shapiro, who's now the big leader of the MAGA coalition, who's now the voice of MAGA. And as soon as Israel doesn't get what it wants, Ben Shapiro no longer supports Trump. Wow. I mean, guys, it's almost as if it was predictable. It's almost as if we've been seeing this for years now. That's amazing. But it's not just old Ben. It's old Mark Levin as well. Oh, here we go. Maybe your top contender for crashout.energy crash out of the day. Mark Levin. You know, for Mark, it's tough. Any day that Muslims aren't dying in the Middle East, any day the Middle East isn't drenched in blood and guts from an Israeli bomb is a tough day for Mark Levin. So it was a rough weekend for Mark.
I'm on Team America, just like you, Mr. and Mrs. America.
Now remember this great deceiver here, this rat, this fraud, this foreign loyalist, this traitor. Remember this, just like Podhurst, when he says America, he means Israel. Notice he's putting on his he's putting on his rat skin. He's putting on his Mr. Sam mask. He's putting on his MAGA mask. It's a total fake. This is the art of deception from Mark Levin. Oh, I'm one of you. I'm Mr. America. I'm like you, the average American. And then he's going to sell you all of Israel's interests. He's going to sell you all of Israel's talking points. This man is a rat. He is a phony. He is a foreign loyalist. He's never been more exposed. Do not fall for his tricks. And whenever he says America, you might as well replace that with Israel, because that's really what he's saying.
I'm on Team America, just like you, Mr. and Mrs. America. Those who stand up with America stand with us. Those who don't stand against us.
Who's us? Who is he talking about here? Again, do you really think he's talking about America? No.
I'm on Team America.
No, you're
just
not.
like you, Mr. and Mrs. America.
There's your big act. Nice sell. Not buying it.
Those who stand up with America stand with us. Those who don't stand against us. My principles haven't changed since I was a young man.
Look at this. He has to read off of his propaganda notes. He's so uninspired. He's such a phony. This whole thing is such an act that he can't even go from the heart. He can't even go off of his mind. He can't even go from the soul. There's no heart there because it's all fake.
My values are as they've been from the very beginning.
That's right. You're an Israeli firster, and now we know it. Thank you. Thank you. So here we go. I think the crash out of the day goes to Podhurst. I think the crash out .energy crash out of the day goes to Podhurst. I got to say, congratulations, John Podhurst. You get the crash out .energy crash out of the day. Totally panicked, totally freaked out what might happen if the United States of America no longer subsidizes Israel's existence and backs it up militarily. Of course, as an American, we don't understand why that bothers you so much, but that's a you thing. But congratulations, you are today's crash out of the day, brought to you by crashout.energy. Now we bring the receipts. All those people that called us names because we thought no new wars meant no new wars. All those people that called us names because we warned that if we got involved in this foreign policy, it could cost us the midterms. We warned if we got involved in this foreign policy that gas prices would go up and the economy would have an issue. All of us, we warned, we were right, we got called names, and now here we are. And the only demand the new MAGA coalition demanded from you was that you be loyal to Trump and that you trust Trump no matter what. So forget campaign promises, forget results, just be loyal to Trump and just trust Trump. That's what they demanded of you. And yet here we are, and they don't even hold themselves to that same standard. Of course not. Because now that Trump is trying to get a peace deal, and Trump won't annihilate all of Israel's enemies with the U.S. military, now all of a sudden they don't want to support Trump. Now all of a sudden they want to trash talk Trump. Now all of a sudden they don't trust Trump. And they aren't loyal to Trump. Well, why is that? That's what you demanded of us. But now you won't exhibit the same trust, the same loyalty. Why? Because of foreign interests and a foreign country? Sounds like you are a traitor or a foreigner. And that's what we're going to look at here. But let's start with Ben-Gvir. So they're just letting the world know that Trump's peace deal does not involve them. Trump's agreement does not bind us. Israel is not subject to the United States, and we are an independent and sovereign nation. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait till you guys are an independent and sovereign nation. And I'm cheering for Israel to be an independent and sovereign nation. Now, I would pray for the people of Israel. I would pray for the Israeli people that they get some new leadership when this transition happens, because if your leadership is Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir, you guys are going to have problems. And you might have to get used to living in bunkers for quite some time, because these guys are going to keep you at war forever. And without the United States backing you up, you could have some serious problems. But I don't think Ben-Gvir really means that. Ben-Gvir doesn't want Israel to be independent and sovereign from the United States, because he knows exactly what that would mean for his people. And I don't think he actually wants that. So let's see who calls the bluff. But believe me, you don't need to sell us. We will all accept that deal. The United States can be independent from Israel, and Israel can be independent from the United States. And it's ironic that you would hear such rhetoric from Ben-Gvir in English as the Israeli lobby is trying to have a permanent military matrimony in this new bill. Isn't that ironic? So they claim, hey, we want to be independent, but then they tell you, but we still want access to your bank account. Oh. Hey, we want to be independent. Oh, that's great. Here, we're going to cut up your bank card. No, not that independent. Not that independent. We still want your money. Oh, gotcha. Now, here we go. Are you ready for me to start rattling off all these receipts? All of these people demanded that you trust Trump. All of these people demanded that you stay loyal to Trump. How dare you question Trump on foreign policy? How dare you? But now here we are. Seems that they don't hold themselves to the same standard. And it seems to me the only thing that they cared about, as far as why did they support Trump, was Israelis' interest. That's all they cared about, was Israel's interest. And now that Trump might be putting America's interests first, they're all turning on Trump. They're all stabbing him in the back. And that same trust and loyalty that they demanded from you, of course, they're not exhibiting theirself. So let's do it. Gary Kasparov. Trump said he demanded unconditional surrender. We just didn't know he meant America's. Oh. It's America's surrender, huh? That's America's surrender? No, how about that's Trump trying to get a peace deal on behalf of the entire world? How about that? America's not surrendering to anybody. In fact, we've been surrendering to Israel, and we're finally standing up to ourselves. So it's always inversion with these people. We had an unconditional surrender to Israel. Now we're standing up and saying no more. So no, this is not Trump surrendering. Hopefully it's Trump standing up finally. Rabbi Samuel. I wanted Trump to succeed in Iran, but he has objectively massively failed. Israel will finish the job, which won't end well. Come, Messiah, come. Israel will finish the job. Without America, huh? I wonder. Brianna Wu. Again, another American whose support for Trump only hinged on him putting Israel first. Another American that demanded you trust and be loyal to Trump, but now she won't be because he won't put Israel's interests first. I love that these people are exposing themselves. Brianna Wu, he betrayed the Iranian people. No, he didn't. He's the president of the United States of America. He didn't betray the Iranians. If he betrayed anybody, it's the Americans. But now that he's not acting on behalf of Israel, you guys feel betrayed because you think you own Trump. He betrayed the Iranian people, undermined our national security. Who's our? Wasted billions all to get us back to where we were before. That's on you guys. That's on you. That's on the Israeli lobby. We did all of this for you. Look at how ungrateful you are. Look at the absolute despicable nature of your ungratefulness. Zero gratefulness for everything America has done. It's disgusting. I wanted him to succeed, and he objectively, massively failed. At what? Killing more people? Is that what you wanted? You wanted more dead? You wanted more death and destruction? Is that what you wanted? You wanted America to take another knee for the foreign lobbyists and the foreign interests? Is that what he failed to do? That's funny. So I guess you never really supported Trump. I guess you never really were an American patriot. All of that just hinged on what can we do for Israel, huh? That's funny. That's funny. Oh, I could show you dozens of receipts from this one. You know, she's one of these Iranian Jewish bimbos that likes to pop up on social media. Iran never won a war, but never lost a negotiation. Nio Berg. Oh, she's the big MAGA patriot now. Nio Berg. She's been a huge Trump supporter. She's been calling out all the Americans that didn't support Trump's foreign Middle East policy. But now that Trump refuses to kill more people or get into another war for Israel, all of a sudden they're not loyal to Trump. All of a sudden they don't trust Trump anymore. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Their loyalty stops at the support for Israel. Well, we know who you really are. Thank you for showing. Ariel Kahana, Israeli journalist. I deleted my profile picture with Trump. That's it. Who's going to come running back to Trump now? Will you come running back to Trump? Trump negotiates a peace deal, and the Israeli journalist says, I'm no longer supporting Trump. Man, that's good. Man, that's good. They're coming after Vance. Johnny Nash. J.D. Vance is a bigger scumbag than Carter. This woke right is a complete car crash and will ruin the USA. Come back to us, Trump. Come back to us, Vance. Look at these people. Look at these foreign loyalists. Look at these hypocrites. Look at these warmongers. Come back to us. Come back home. Come back home to MAGA. Come back home against the Bush era foreign policy. Come back home against the corrupt donor class. Come back home to us. Look at these phonies. Look at these frauds. The minute you don't be a slave to them, they stab you in the back. Come home to us. Come home. Another Israeli, Yoav Kaufman. Trump has lost all his credibility. Why are you guys so panicked over Trump? He's our president. Why are you guys panicking so much about Trump getting a peace deal done? Why is this so scary to you if you believe Israel is independent and can do it all on their own? And where's that trust factor? Where's that loyalty factor you demanded of us? Daniel Hanukkah, IDF reservist. Trump made peace with the devil. 42,000 massacred in one night. Is that even real? I don't even think that was ever real. But, okay. So why do you care? Why do you care if Trump made peace? What is it? Trump is our president. Trump is the president of the United States of America. None of you voted for him. He's not your president. He's ours. We want a peace deal. We're sorry that you don't. And why are you so panicked if you can do it on your own? Why are you so panicked? Ted S. If $3 billion for Israel outrages you, but reports of a $300 billion package for Iran doesn't, it was never about the money. Hey, we didn't want to be in this situation to begin with. The only reason that we've been bombing Iran is because of Israel. And you know what's funny? You should be thanking us. Here comes the United States of America to pay your $300 billion tab. You ungrateful schmucks. You petulant, spoiled, rotten brats. You entitled narcissists. You're right. We should be sending that $300 billion tab to Israel. Israel should be paying $300 billion for the damage in Iran, not us. And here we are again. Here we are again paying your bill. Unbelievable. America's about to pay a $300 Israel bill, and they're still bitching about it. They're still ungrateful. We're going to pay for all the damage that you did to Iran. We're going to pay for it. We are going to take care of that tab. And you still are ungrateful. I hope America never forgets this moment. And that's why I'm doing this. You guys don't deserve anything from us ever again. Okay? And your whole playbook of holding the Holocaust over our head like an anvil doesn't work anymore. Your whole woke right playbook of calling us names doesn't work anymore. And your whole bluff, like, oh my gosh, without Israel, America will be nothing. Nobody's buying that either. I hope America never forgets the ungrateful nature of everything we have done for Israel. It is disgusting. You should be thanking us. And if you do want independence from us, that's fine. Let's have a handshake and a head nod and say, okay. But no, you can't even do it like that. You can't even be amicable. Instead, we're trying to get a peace deal done. We just stopped Iran from bombing Israel again. We just picked up a $300 billion tab for you guys bombing Israel. And instead of saying thank you, instead of Israel saying, you know what, the United States of America, we're having our differences right now on foreign policy. We're having our differences right now on how to approach the Middle East. But you know what? To the United States of America, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for fighting in World War II. We want to thank you for all of the foreign aid and the hundreds of billions of dollars that you have given us. We want to thank you of going to war in the Middle East and shedding blood and treasure in our region of the world to help our country. We want to thank you to the United States of America for stopping Iran from bombing us again and paying our $300 billion tab for bombing them. We want to thank the United States of America. Thank you. No. Instead, they stand up and they demand more. Instead, they stand up and they insult us and they attack us and they act like they're entitled to more. I hope America never forgets this. Never. And they've got their this is how they're making fun of it. They're calling it MAWA, Make America Weak Again. Same guy. Trump is begging Iran not to attack Israel. Yeah, you should be thanking us. Seriously. Aside from whatever this whole political thing is with their loyalties, like, what is the psychology? Honestly, what is the psychology of a person that wants to get bombed? Have you ever stopped and thought about that? Because that's what this is. And I will tell you, the psychology. They want to get bombed so that they can nuke Iran. It's the same reason why they stood down on October 7th. It's the same reason why they love anti-Semitism. They sit here and they pretend like they hate anti-Semitism. They love it. They want anti-Semitism. It gives them power. For the same reason they want to get attacked by Iran, because it gives them power. That's the psychology here. And it's demonic and it's disgusting. And in the 21st century, it should be completely eradicated from foreign policy, but there's at least one country on earth that still has that psychology. Dr. Eli David. I'm not concerned about the MOU, which doesn't say much. I'm concerned that the entire military might of the U.S. couldn't force the regime into submission. If America failed to win the war with Iran, how could it protect Taiwan? How could it protect the Gulf Arab states? Well, why is any of that our duty, first of all? Why is it assumed that the United States taxpayer is just supposed to pay for security of the entire world? But, you know, I think that we as Americans are starting to wonder if all of this was just fear-mongering, propaganda, so that people could steal our money for the military-industrial complex. And we're also starting to wonder about our relations with these foreign countries, if they haven't been spoiled about one other relation we've had with a foreign country for all of these years too. And we're starting to think that maybe if we cut ties with that one country, our entire foreign policy could shift into a net positive instead of a net negative like it has been for at least 3 decades. But again, the entitlement. Yair Golan, a tough morning for Israel. This morning, Israeli citizens are waking up to an agreement between the United States and Iran over Israel's head. Yeah? So, what entitlement do you have to be at the table? What entitlement does Israel have to be at the table between negotiations between America and Iran? It doesn't. Where do you get this entitlement? Who do you people think you are? If America and Iran want to negotiate a peace deal, we can negotiate a peace deal. If you don't want to be a part of peace on planet Earth, then that's a you thing. And that's the conclusion that most people are reaching now. A tough morning for Israel because Trump stopped Iran from bombing you? Do you guys realize how psychotic these people are? I mean, this is true psychotic freak commentary here. A tough morning for Israel because Israeli citizens are waking up to a peace deal. What? It's a tough morning for Israel because President Trump stopped Iran from bombing you. That's a tough morning? Not getting bombed is a tough morning for Israel? A peace deal? The announcement of a peace deal is a tough morning for Israel? How could you say such a thing? And what other conclusion am I to reach except that you guys love war? You guys are only happy when there's death and destruction. What other conclusion am I supposed to reach if you consider it a bad morning when there's a peace deal and you're not getting bombed? The only conclusion I can reach is that means a good morning is when there's no peace and you are getting bombed. You are psychotic freaks. And you know, the logic, see, all of this logic is what needs to be applied to Israel. Think about the logic they use in Palestine. And they say, well, if the Palestinian people don't want to get holocausted off the earth, if the Palestinian people don't want to get genocided off the earth, if the Palestinian people don't want Israel to destroy their entire civilization, well, then they should have had new leadership. Oh, okay. Well, that's funny. Because if Israeli leadership thinks it's a bad morning when you have a peace deal and bombs aren't dropping, then maybe it's you that needs the new leadership. I think we're starting to figure that out, by the way. And this is why they're spending so much money buying up as much media influence as they possibly can right now, because everybody sees that this is the way the tide is turning. And you know what's funny about that, by the way? It could end up being the greatest thing ever. It could end up being the greatest thing ever that all the Israeli loyalists are basically spending every dime they have right now to try to preserve America being Israel's bank account, military, however you want to say it. We all know what I'm describing here. They're going to spend all of this money. Adelson is going to spend all of this money. AIPAC is going to spend all of this money. I mean, eventually they have to run out of money, right? I mean, it's like, do they really have unlimited money here? How many elections can AIPAC spend $50 million on? How many election cycles can AIPAC spend $100 million, $200 million on? How many election cycles can Marion Adelson spend $200 million on? How many different news outlets can the Ellisons buy? It's like eventually this Israeli lobby is going to run out of money, right? Unless they just have a direct access to the Fed that just pumps it into their bank account. I don't know. Maybe they're getting this from the money we send Israel. I don't know. But it's like eventually they're going to run out of money. Not to mention bombs. They say, oh, we want independence. Yeah, because you've been dependent on us. It continues. Bonchi. The most embarrassing defeat in modern American history. It's a defeat. Peace is a defeat, guys. Again, just total revelation here. Just an unbelievable revelation. Yoav Kaufman, another Israeli. Even if Trump changes his mind again and bombs the IRGC like he should, he's already lost the trust of many of his allies. Oh, I thought you trusted Trump no matter what. That's what you demanded of us. I thought you had to be loyal to Trump no matter what. That's what you demanded of us. When we said President Trump, it looks like you're putting Israel's interests first. You guys said, shut up, trust Trump. Be loyal to Trump. But now that Trump might be putting America's interests first, all of a sudden you guys, you don't feel the same way? Come on, Kaufman, trust Trump. Come on, Kaufman, be loyal to Trump. This is what you demanded of us. Why isn't it a two-way street? Eric Erickson. So Iran opens the strait. I don't even think that's true. Nobody knows the true status of the strait, I don't think. I don't think it's open either. Gets a fee per ship passing through, so Iran controlled the strait. Gets $10 billion in cash minimum up front, and we punt on nuclear terms till later. This is an American surrender to a terrorist regime sold this morning to various conservative outlets that cheerlead. Oh, no, the American surrender to a terrorist regime is when we let the Israeli lobby dictate our future. The American surrender to a terrorist regime is when we let Netanyahu dictate our foreign policy. Now that surrender, hopefully, is over. But again, these are the same people. Trust in Trump. Be loyal to Trump. What happened, guys? You don't want to trust Trump anymore? You don't want to be loyal to Trump anymore because he's not putting Israel first? Boy, that's weird. That's weird. Wonder why that would be. Mike Nellis. I know the money's good, but these MAGA influencers twisting themselves into knots to convince their audience that this horrendous deal with Iran is better than the one Obama made are embarrassing as hell. Well, hold on a second. MAGA influencers twisting themselves into knots convincing the deal is good. Who would that be? So now you've got the Israeli loyalist MAGA, or I don't know what it is he's describing here. I'm guessing it's the people that are attacking us. So he's admitting now that they're all paid to support Trump. So that's a weird thing. So I guess he's insinuating that they're all paid to support Trump, which is right, by the way. I'm not disagreeing here. I'm just trying to understand the context. But what I find funny about this is it's the MAGA influencers that have been twisting themselves into pretzels, doing mental gymnastics about what no new wars meant, or if it's even a war or not, or if gas prices are up or down. That's been the mental gymnastics. They're not doing mental gymnastics over this deal. They're silent. They're silent on this deal. And the reason why they're silent is, A, they really just don't have, they don't have the political aptitude or the geopolitical understanding to even do real commentary. The only intellectual philosophical aptitude that they have is just support Trump. That's it. So when it's a serious issue like this, they don't even know what to say or where to begin. But no, I think it's funny. They've been twisting themselves, trying to convince you it's not a war or gas prices are down. Now they're silent because they don't really have any thoughts outside of how do I defend or support Trump. But the biggest hypocrisy to me is, as you're going to see here, of all this, of all these people attacking Trump today, notice MAGA is totally silent. And most of you probably even have some level of experience with this. You know, use me as just a barometer here. Use me as the example. You guys all saw when I was critical of decisions Trump was making, you guys all saw the incoming attacks. All these new MAGA people, all the paid MAGA shills, the MAGA cults, you guys saw how they came after me. You guys saw the relentless attacks that I received for months because of this. They're making videos. They comment on me. By the way, they comment on me every day. They talk about me every day on their shows. I don't know if they really care that much or if they're just trying to get engagement. I don't give it to them. So, hey, fine. Where is your commentary on all of these people that I'm exposing today? You guys all came after me, the guy that went to prison for Trump. You guys all came after me, one of the leading voices in the American media that helped get Trump elected. You guys all came after me. I was the originator of all the content that you now do. I created the entire genre, and you guys all came after me. You guys all took out your knives and you came after me. And now you're all silent? You're all silent on the foreigners that are complaining about Trump? You're all silent on the foreign loyalists that are complaining about Trump? All the demands you made about us? You have to be loyal to Trump. You have to trust Trump. Where are you today? Where are they? They're nowhere. Why is that? Why is it that new MAGA had no problem attacking people like me, original MAGA? Why is it they had no problem coming after us and demanding trust and loyalty? But now that we see this entire movement of people, which is part of the new Trump coalition, by the way, part of the new MAGA coalition, now that they're breaking, where are they? Where are the memes? Where are the attack videos? Where are they? You guys had no problem coming after me. All of you have been silent on everything I'm covering here today. Why is that? Well, the obvious reason is you're hypocrites, you're frauds, but still you're silent. Why is that? Why won't you attack them? I'm just curious. One George Bush meme comes out. One George Bush meme comes out last June. A picture of George Bush's face imposed on Trump's head and hair. And you guys went into conniption fits. You guys went into, Recon 5, DEFCON 5 defense over Trump, attacking anybody that shared that meme, attacking anybody that ever doubted Trump, demanding trust, demanding loyalty. Where are you today? This is your new coalition. The foreign loyalist wing of your coalition is breaking with Trump, insulting Trump, making memes about Trump, calling him a loser, calling him a failure. And where are you today? Why are you silent today? You had no problem going after Tucker Carlson. You had no problem going after Owen Schroyer. You had no problem going after Alex Jones and Candace Owens and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the list goes on. Thomas Massey. You guys had no problem ranting and raving every day, attacking us. You had no problem with that. And now that you see with your coalition, the foreign loyalist wing is breaking and insulting Trump, why are you silent? Why won't you say anything today? Why aren't the same criticisms and attack formations that you launched against us, why aren't they being launched against the foreign loyalists today? Why? Now, the only two conclusions I could reach if I'm trying to answer the question is, one, you're not getting paid to. You're not getting paid to attack the foreign loyalists, which we could ask, well, why wouldn't they be getting paid? Well, maybe that's because the money is coming from the foreign loyalists. Maybe that's a why. Or maybe the other reason is, now that you're so isolated, now that your coalition is so small now compared to what it was, that if you go after this wing of your current MAGA coalition, there's no wing left. This is the last wing. This is the last leg of the MAGA coalition is the foreign loyalists. And so, if you attack them like you attacked us, there'll be nothing left. The whole movement will be gone. You'll have nobody. Or maybe you're just too inept to even understand the geopolitics and the foreign policy, and maybe that's why you're silent. But you are silent today. You weren't before, but you are now. I offer. Trump is a total loser. His legacy will not be a president of peace nor a president of victory. He gave Iran a win. Amazing. I wonder what Trump's approval rating in Israel is today. It continues. The agreement with Iran is bad for Israel and for the entire free world. Well, definitely for Israel, and that's all you guys care about. Now, you are an Israeli, Smotrich here, obviously. You are an Israeli, so you should care about Israel. So I don't fault you for that. If you think this deal is bad for Israel, I don't fault you for that. But don't include America in there. Don't include the entire free world in there, because in case you haven't noticed, pretty much the entire free world is against Israel now. So you might want to reconsider. But there it is. But really, I think this just projects how it is they really feel. This is the big moment, folks. This is the moment. This is their arrogance. This is their entitlement. And they just really believe that Israel is the only thing that matters on this planet. And they are the only people that matter on this planet. That's what they believe. That's what's being expressed here, maybe subconsciously. Maybe it's subconscious because they've been propagandized their whole lives. They've been victims, quite frankly, of trauma-based mind control their whole lives. And they've been taught that they are the one and only God's chosen people their entire lives. So you put this all into a formula and mix it up, and this is what you get. The only thing that matters is Israel and Israelis. But of course, there's an entire world out there. There's an entire planet out there. And most of that planet is against what Israel is doing. But in their minds, it doesn't matter because there's only one group of people, and that's Israel and the Israelis. There is no one else. Yoav Kaufman, The Art of Losing the Deal. Ayal Offer. Lindsey Graham was right 10 years ago. If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we will deserve it. Wow. First of all, you didn't nominate him because you're an Israeli, unless you're admitting something here. And then there's Lindsey Graham, who Trump just got nominated again for Senate. Yikes. It's a double whammy. They're coming after Vance. Neil Stone, Betrayers of the Iranian People. Cyrus Vance, 1979. J.D. Vance, 2026. Betrayers of the Iranian People. J.D. Vance is an American. How can we betray the Iranian people and the Israeli people, but none of you seem to even ever think about or mention the American people? You know, we're a real people. We still exist. We're still here. Who do you think pays all your bills? Who do you think fights all your wars? Who do you think makes all of your weapons? I mean, it's just like, hello, hi. Nice to meet you. And nice to never see you again. Jason Rappert. I want to remind J.D. Vance that Israel is our ally. It is Israel that has stood with us without question since we recognized them, the modern state of Israel, in 1948. Giving billions of dollars to Iran is not what I support as an American citizen. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, we've stood with Israel for almost a century, and it's not really helped us, actually. Yeah, we've stood with Israel and let them dictate our foreign policy, and that's been a disaster. Everyone agrees America's been on the decline. Everybody agrees that our foreign policy is a disaster. And there's one thing in this Venn diagram that connects it all, and that's Israel. Whether you want to say that's the responsible factor or not, we're all noticing, yep, that's the common factor. Here's more of them. Here's more of the new MAGA that demands you be loyal to Trump, except when he's not loyal to Israel. Then it's okay to attack him. I'm so sorry for the Iranian people. We failed you. Trump says he never cared about regime change in Iran. Again, Trump is the president of America. What does this mean? We failed the Iranian people. It's like when Trump fails the American people, they don't say anything. But, oh, Trump fails the Iranian people. Oh, Trump fails the Israeli people. What? What? Here's all the memes. Here they have Trump polishing the shoes of the Ayatollah and J.D. Vance giving them a bunch of money. Oh, but one Bush meme, one George Bush Trump meme sent all of these new MAGA freaks into conniption fits, but none of them are responding to this. None of them have anything to say about this today. Why is that? Here's another one that's right there, catty corner to the Bush meme. Now they're saying that the Bush administration were heroes in the Middle East and the Trump administration are cowards. What? So when we were making a joke about Trump turning into Bush last year, you guys went into conniption fits. Now the foreign loyalists and the foreign lobbyists are saying Bush was better than Trump. And you guys are silent. That's weird. Here's more of the memes they're making. Nothing from MAGA on this. They're calling Trump the clown of the year. They've got a Time magazine clown of the year. That's funny, isn't it? Isn't that ironic? An Israeli American here. Yeah. Be loyal to Trump. Always support and trust Trump unless he doesn't do everything for Israel. And then all of a sudden it's okay. You can attack Trump and make memes about Trump and say he's a loser and a failure and a clown and everything else. When he betrays campaign promises, that doesn't matter. But if he doesn't work on behalf of Israel, now all of a sudden you guys have a problem. And of course, the current MAGA has nothing to say. Here they are calling him a radical Islamic terrorist, calling Trump a radical Islamic jihadist terrorist because of this deal. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now I've exhausted all of that. I'm going to conclude this with two things. So I'm assuming that some of this is coming from like some semblance of the QAnon mindset that Trump has a grand planned exposure of Israel here because it's the only way we could have this separation possible. It's the only way we could rip this Band-Aid off is by having this moment, by showing Americans this moment, by good faith trying to act on behalf of Israel and get a peace deal done, and then showing how ungrateful they are for it all. So I'm kind of discussing this earlier today in a video that I posted on X and on YouTube, and I saw an interesting response, which I guess, again, maybe it's from like the Q I told you so mindset. I don't know, or I don't really know where it's coming from, but I want to read this because there's an important response here. It says, what are you grifters going to do when there are no issues to grift off of? When the economy is amazing, there is peace in the Middle East, and the Epstein files are resolved, you move the goalposts. You'd have to. I don't know what it is you're expressing here. You must not understand. That's what we want. What do you mean when there are no issues to grift off of? These are our issues. So it's like there's this weird thing, because really this is projection. And you're seeing this a lot with MAGA, this projection. Like, oh, you must be getting paid, or oh, you're a grifter, or oh, this, you're that. Or, oh, you moved the goalposts. I have been as logically consistent as anybody in the American media. As far as the issues are concerned, I'm not really sure if you can find an issue where I have ever flip-flopped. Now, maybe I've learned more and become more passionate about things, but as far as flip-flopping, I don't know. I don't think anybody could ever find anything like that. So what do you mean grift off? Like, see, that's the projection. It's like, oh, everything is a grift. What? No, I'm an American broadcaster. I have been broadcasting professionally since I was 21 years old. The issues that you speak of actually mean something to me. And so, yes, of course I want these issues resolved. What does that mean? I'm going to move the goalposts and grift off of something else. The economy isn't amazing. There isn't peace in the Middle East, and the Epstein files aren't resolved. These are my issues. These are things I care about. These are the things I want done. So what is this projection saying that this is a grift? How is this like it's all projection? It's all projection. There's no grift here. There's no moving the goalposts here. That's you. So I don't get it. It's like, yeah, if these things get done, I'm jubilant. I'm like ecstatic. I mean, in fact, look at today's show. My sliver of hope that I expressed today could be smashed in a week. It could be totally smashed. My light of hope could be out in a week. But it's like, here I am looking at the foreign policy issues and saying, hey, this looks like maybe this is something I like. This looks like maybe it is going the right direction. How am I moving the goalposts? I'm celebrating it. I'm hopeful today. Even my own audience probably thinks I'm nuts for being hopeful today. But, here's the problem, and this is what I'm concerned. Aside from the potential of a false flag, which I think is as high as it's ever been right now, my concern is Trump has these people in his ear. And I've got this clip up right here. This is Israel's UN envoy. Trump has these people in his ear. And this is the UN envoy from Israel says, in Jewish tradition, the age of 80 symbolizes strength. Moses was 80 years old when he led the Israelites out of Egypt. So you guys remember when I did that broadcast last year? and I explained how Trump has all these different voices in his ear telling him he's the Messiah and all of this stuff and how heavy that might be. And we have to consider that in the decisions that he's making. Well, a lot of that has now kind of come to the surface since that broadcast. And this is a perfect example. This is the kind of stuff that Trump gets in his ear. Now, are these people saying it in good faith? Are they trying to manipulate Trump? I don't know. I'm not there. But they're saying, oh, Trump, you're 80 years old. This is Moses' age. You're the next Moses. You're going to free the Jews. You're going to free the Israelis. And this is his weak point. He's susceptible to this type of praise and admiration. He is susceptible to this type of pedestaling. And this is how they've been able to win him over. So it's like anybody can be bought in politics, I suppose, including Trump. But then how do you actually massage and manipulate somebody to make decisions that might be against their better judgment? And this is how they do it. Now, I would reverse that. And I would tell President Trump, Mr. President, your calling, your legacy is not to free the Israelis. It's not to save the Jewish people. That's not your legacy. Your legacy, the opportunity that you have, is to free the American people. The opportunity that you've been presented and the legacy that you've been elected to leave is to free the American people, is to deliver peace and prosperity for America. That's your legacy. That's what you were elected to do. And I just ask Trump to remember that. With all the other voices that are going to be swirling around them, with all the other voices convincing him that it's this or it's that, I just pray to God that Trump recognizes this one thing. Trump's legacy is to save America. Trump's legacy is to free the American people from the bondage of foreign aid and welfare and open borders and all the other garbage that has disintegrated our way of life and the American dream. This is what Trump's legacy is. This is what Trump has been elected to do. And it's the monsters and the demons that have approached him and convinced him along the way that it is something else. I pray that Trump remembers that that's what his legacy is. And if Trump wants to go down as the legend that puts up golden statues to himself and has a big giant 80th birthday bash at the White House, if Trump wants to fulfill the legacy of that man, then he will free the American people into an age of prosperity. And the American people only should be his concern.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Political light years ahead of the rest. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Man, we're late. We are late in the transmission today, but that's all right. We're right on time. Well, maybe a little late. Mostly right on time. I knew that would take up the vast majority of the second hour, but I wanted to document all of that. One, because I think it's an important thing to document and expose right now. But two, no one else is doing it. No one else is doing it. Find, avoid, and fill it. So that's what we've done today. All right. Now we do have some other odds and ends in the news, and we will get to your super chats as we always do. So we might go a little extra. We might need a little extra time, a little stoppage time today. We'll call it World Cup's happening. We'll call it stoppage time. By the way, the World Cup, man, another thing. I was concerned. I think we should be very proud. I'd say so far as a country, we have hosted a great World Cup, guys. We really have. I was concerned. I have been very pleased. I have been very pleased at what I've seen with America hosting the World Cup. I gotta say. So you know what? Just good stuff all around, guys. Just good stuff, good vibes, good feels, even with the haters in the chat. Thank you, guys. Mwah, love you in the chat, you haters. What would I do without you? Gavin Newsom says Trump's Justice Department is investigating him and his wife. Aides to Governor Gavin Newsom of California say several people associated with the couple have been contacted by federal agents in the past week. He criticized the move as politically motivated. Oh, a Democrat complaining about political persecution? Whoa. Well, I guess that's a bag that you guys opened up. Now, if that's true, I won't support it. But no, I think Gavin Newsom is actually scared. If I'm on my high hopes here on this Monday, which I am, I'm all caught up in my feels from the bread and circus this weekend. So maybe that's it. My emotions are steering me wrong. Perhaps. No, I feel that there's something there. I think everybody knows that there is a there when it comes to Gavin Newsom and his wife. We've seen many of this get to the media, just nobody ever pursues it. So maybe Trump and the administration is actually pursuing it. Or if I'm going back to my, what do we want to call it? Panicking roots. If I'm skeptical, if I go back to my skeptical roots here, I think this is Trump trying to leverage some sort of a deal with Gavin Newsom. It's like, hey, Gavin, I got you and your wife dead to rights on these crimes. So when you become president in 2028, you're not going to investigate me. Get it? Understand? Gavin, do you understand what I'm saying? We wouldn't like to see you and your wife in prison now. It's not what we'd like. So if you or when you become president in 2028, you're not going to pursue anything against the Trump family. You know what I'm saying, Gavin? You got what I'm laying down here, Gavin. You can get away with it, and you're not going to be investigating me and my family. Sound like a deal, Gavin? So that'd be the skeptic in me. But I'll say Gavin in his press conference today, that is a face of a man. I've not seen him look so, I don't know what the word would be, I guess frightened. Because we've seen him fake it before. You know, we've seen him fake like he really cares and fake cry and everything. I mean, he's got the act. You know, he's pushing for an Oscar here. He sold me. I saw Gavin today and I said, that man is panicked. That man looks like he's just seen a ghost. I don't think it's an act. Or I'll hand him the Oscar myself. We'll see. Brooke Rollins is talking about another way to deal with the New World Order screwworm. Listen to what she says here.
But the importance of, again, across the federal agencies, Department of Homeland Security, we talked yesterday about using their drones and perhaps through very quick innovation, having an artificial intelligence piece of this, where you put AI on the drones that they can fly across all of our millions of acres of wildlife in this state. That we need to be solving for and preparing for as well. So, Dr. Connolly, I'm sorry, I should have had you up here to begin with. It's great to have you in South Texas.
Thank you.
So she's talking about having drones with AI technology fly over these ranches, and they'll be able to identify a potential screwworm infection. Now, look, I'm no Luddite, so hey, technology, improving our way of life, improving our ease of access, everything else, I'm all for it. That one caught me, though. I have to say, that one caught me a little bit. And I'm thinking, if we have AI technology on these drones that can do such enhanced surveillance that they can detect screwworm infections in a ranch by just hovering over, well, gee, what do they got ready for us? Because they're going to eventually treat us like cattle, too. You thought COVID was bad? Wait till you have some drone flying around that determines you have a temperature that's too high and sends you home. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful. I'm not saying, hey, if we've got technology that can help us eliminate a screwworm threat, I'm all for it. But let's not forget, we have eliminated the screwworm threat before in this country, and we didn't need AI and we didn't need drones. We've already done it. So I'm just a little suspicious here. It's like, yeah, we're going to roll out this AI drone technology for surveillance of the ranch, of the cattle. But eventually, you're cattle too, so we're going to use this over you. Little concerned. All right. I don't even know if it's worth doing this. It's a couple short clips. Let me see here. It's about a minute and a half of clips. I think this is legit. I do. And I can certainly understand if you reach the conclusion that, well, it's MS Now and I don't trust MS Now and they're fishing for this type of content. That's fine. But MS Now is now doing these every weekend. Where they go out to Trump areas, very deep red areas, suburban areas, out in the sticks, and they find Trump voters that express how unhappy they are with Trump. So again, you don't want to trust MS Now and you say they're cherry picking. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I actually buy this because I've seen this. I actually buy that this is happening. I believe that this phenomenon is happening. Whatever process MS Now used to get this content, you can be skeptical of. I'm telling you, though, I have witnessed this phenomenon from talking with people and talking with Trump supporters, that this is how they currently feel about Trump. And it's not good. But here's the latest from MS Now going to Deep Red, Ohio, where Trump voters are expressing some serious discontent.
I actually have panic attacks. I've had a couple this past week. And I get very emotional over it. I don't want to work anymore, but I can't afford to retire.
Obviously, President Trump is immensely wealthy, has been wealthy since he was born.
Yeah.
Do you think he understands?
No. He hasn't lived it to understand it. He sees it. He has not lived it.
Now, part of the problem I have with that is the way they posture this question. And certainly it's not inaccurate to posture that against Trump. And Trump has put himself in that position with his own comments. But it's not Trump. This is not limited to Trump. Folks, the entire DC bubble is completely out of touch with this. You know, I've been one of the leading voices in the media that has been expressing this for really years now. There's a total separation, and it's bad on the Republican side of the aisle, but it's the whole DC bubble, and it's even the DC political media as well. They live in this silo. They do not understand the true nature of the financial distress that Americans are in. And what's so wild about it, you know, anybody can cover the news. Anybody has access to the news. I cover the news every day, and you can see all the signs. You can see the record credit card debt. You can see the record foreclosures. You can see the record repossessions. You can see just everything record in the wrong direction economically for Americans. Now, is that just Trump that's blind to that? No, but he's part of this problem. And so I just feel like this is something that the right wing, if the right wing establishment, the GOP establishment, if they're going to let the Democrats win on the economy, I just don't understand it, because this is where the right wing should never lose. This is where Republicans should never lose in an election cycle, is on fiscal policy. Never. And yet they're about to give the Democrats a victory on fiscal policy because they won't even address policy. And instead, they're just pretending like everybody's fat and happy. Instead of selling a strong economic policy that will deliver like Trump did, the Republicans are just pretending like everything's great. The Republicans are just pretending like the economy's great, and that's what they're running on. And it's such a swing and miss. I mean, the ball is in the dirt. They're swinging at a ball that is hitting the dirt 12 inches in front of the plate. So it's stunning that the Republicans are putting themselves in a position to lose in the midterms on economic policy simply because they're pretending like the economy is good, even though it's not.
He needs to live it. Wear the clothes, wear the shoes, wear your Walmart clothes, wear your Walmart shoes. Do your thrift store shopping. Don't eat steaks. I don't get to go out to dinner. It's not an overnight thing, but it's been 2 years now. You said you'd bring down the grocery prices. Literally, I must be the most angry person when I grocery shop because I buy the same things every week and I see it jump every week. It is not every couple months. It's literally every week.
And of course, the problem here is that our foreign policy is causing energy prices to skyrocket. That's what it is. So it's bad foreign policy. So in this case, when you see your grocery bill and your energy bill going up, that's just bad foreign policy that's causing that. That's all that is. Now, maybe you can correct that. Maybe you can, and hopefully with this G7 convention, that's the start of correcting that course and getting a peace deal with Iran and opening the strait and doing deals with Iran instead of Israel. That might actually drive energy costs down. That could actually be the one that does it. Where the Republicans miss is they just don't, they refuse to do it. And this is just the nature of DC. The government will never shrink itself. But really, the Republicans need to be running on massive tax reform. They don't mind saying cut the taxes, but they seem to have a problem doing it. And at the end of the day, if you want to give immediate relief to the people, you cut their taxes, period. People are paying way too much in taxes. Let people keep money in their bank account. Let people keep money on their paycheck, keep money on their bottom line, and that will solve it overnight. It won't solve the issue entirely, but it'll give Americans a little more space. It'll give them a little extra space in the margins that they live in. So all you really, I mean, it's not going to save everything overnight, but hey, stop with the disastrous foreign policy that's causing energy costs to go up, and then find a way to cut taxes in at least half. I mean, at least let Americans keep half of the money they're paying in taxes today, and you might start to see some relief. So it is possible, but it's crazy that the Republicans are looking at this in the midterms and they're about to hand it. They're about to hand the economic policy victory to the Democrats. It's unbelievable. They just can't help themselves. All right. Did you guys see this last week? Oh boy. Okay. Dozens of girls emerge from drain after wandering into tunnel while on school trip in Rockland County. Huh? Okay. Well, let's go here. This was the local news report. This was outside. They just found these schoolgirls. So these schoolgirls get lost in these sewers, lost in these tunnels. They pop up. They pop up at this store. It was the first exit they could find. So they're wandering around in the sewers, in the drains. They pop up at this restaurant because it's the first time they can get out. Nobody seems to know anything. And then all of a sudden the story becomes, oh, they got lost on a school trip. And then there's all these men standing outside the sewers as this local guy is reporting here.
What's happening? Some young girls, some kids, they in the park, they were in the park, they got into the culvert of the creek and they started exploring, and then they ended up not really knowing where they were and they got a little alarmed. As far as I know from the police, I just got here a few minutes ago. As far as I know from the police, everybody's been accounted for. Nobody's missing. They're about to get them all on their buses, take them back home.
Mayor Joe Rand, Nyack, thank you very much.
So a bunch of schoolgirls get lost in the sewers, pop up at this restaurant, and then all of these men show up to rescue them, and they say, oh, everything's fine and good, and they show up before local law enforcement and before the mayor. That's weird. You know, I was going to go to more of the MS Now upset Trump people, but let's just move on. So over the weekend, the reflecting pool is filled with algae.
But I got to tell you, before this was done, it was so bad. It was so bad before this was done. It was not getting cleaned. They weren't cleaning it properly in the wintertime like they used. This was the problem before. You get all those ducks and geese pooping in there and stuff, and then the algae stuff builds up so quick, especially on these hot and humid days, you guys. But
so the reflecting pool is back to filled with algae. Now, before I even do any commentary, so this was discovered. People started arriving in DC for all the events last week, and they start to film the reflecting pool, and it's now as dirty as it ever was. And so obviously people are filming it and saying, well, what's going on? Is this egg on Trump's face? Is this sabotage? Oh, well, yeah. Trump supporters are claiming that they believe this is Democrat sabotage of the reflecting pool.
Oh, man. Take a look at this. The reflecting pool's green.
But what's supposed to be completely
black? Yeah.
We just saw it.
like a week ago.
It was
like
ago.
crystal
Fresh
clear
and
blue, beautiful.
all that. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There's algae in here again. I feel like it's sabotage.
That wouldn't shock me either.
Why is it like this? Because it's gooey at the other end, and we walk this whole thing. We're like,
Yeah,
there's
nice
no way that
we
something like
watched
this.
it
And the
on
very
TV a while
opposite
ago.
side is the World War II memorial.
Right.
The water's fine. Why is this? So something.
Well, the World War II memorial has a lot less water. I'm not going to try to make an estimate, but I mean, like a significant amount less. And it might also run on a different system that's easier to clean. So I don't know if that proves anything.
Happened here.
I mean, they had just literally fixed this.
Obama spent $32 million and it never held water. Trump spends 14 and they go crazy.
They're pumping something into this. I don't know if it's air or what. And what a shame. Because in the end, after all the work that was done, after as proud as I was of President Trump for finally getting this thing fixed, we're back to green. And again, is it nefarious? I tend to think so. You wouldn't have so much algae that you see in here. You would not have that quickly unless somebody did something. I'm telling you, I think they want Trump to fail so badly that they'll come out here and do anything.
I agree with you.
It's crazy. Although I think he'll get it fixed.
So the good news is it's not leaking. That is true. And as the man said, if anybody can get it fixed, Trump can. They're trying to get it right for these Freedom 250 celebrations, but what a shame.
Honestly, the whole thing is just laughable. The whole thing is just so laughable. Now, I remember when Trump first made the announcements of this plan, some other guy came out who claimed he was a pond expert, and these things exist. I happen to have a pond in my backyard. I have a small pond in my backyard, and I gave up on it, folks. It's impossible to keep it clean. I don't even do it anymore. And actually, the best thing to do to keep it clean is to put live animals in it, believe it or not. That you can put live animals in there, and then there'll actually be an ecosystem, and the water will be clean. But some pond guy says, hey, if Trump does the reflecting pool like this, it's going to be filled with algae within a week. And he laid out all the reasons why. And I said, yeah, whatever. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. We'll see. Now, could it be sabotage? I wouldn't put it past some liberal, progressive, Democrat, Trump hater to go out there and try to sabotage the reflecting pool. However, I have to say I'm extremely skeptical of that. How would you even pull that off? How would you even pull off filling the reflecting pool with algae right before the event? And I would assume, and I think this is a safe assumption, I would assume that there are cameras all over that. Of course there are. Now, I don't know if there's a camera that can zoom in and look at the details of everything happening around the reflecting pool, but there are certainly cameras around the area that can probably at least show you the reflecting pool. And if somebody is in there dumping substances in, that's going to be on camera. I think that's a pretty safe assumption that if somebody dumped something in there, it's going to be on camera. So if that happened, I would imagine they're going to see it. I don't think that's the case. Now, this whole thing is going to get blown out of proportion. Oh, Trump wasted all this money. It's like, I don't know. Either you have to decide, hey, it's just going to be dirty. That's it. It's just a body of water. It's outside. It's going to be dirty. And if you want to install some sort of a system like a pool that keeps it clean and balances the pH and everything else and pumps it, then you can do that. That will probably be extremely expensive. Or maybe you try to create some sort of an ecosystem inside the water that keeps it relatively clean for all intents and purposes. But they're leaping to the conclusion that it is Democrat sabotage because, Trump can do no wrong. And it's like, guys, it's an outdoor body of water with algae in it. Like, what do you expect? I mean, I'm sorry that you guys had these grandiose hopes that Trump was going to turn the reflecting pool into a photographic, idyllic, spot in DC for the rest of human history. And it didn't happen. But let's just cool the jets here. If there is any sabotage here, it would be on camera. So this doesn't mean Trump is a failure. Okay, it's okay, guys. The reflecting pool's dirty. Like, it's okay. Doesn't mean Trump is a failure. It's just a reflecting pool. But it's just like, oh, they build up this big thing, and now they feel they have to defend Trump. Well, Trump kind of did it to himself by making a big fuss of it. But it's just like, yeah, you made a big fuss of it. You pretended like painting the bottom would be a big difference. You pretended like you're going to make it look pristine for the rest of human history. And within a week, it was right back to its normal status. It happens. So you kind of oversold it. And now people are trying to cope and say, oh, it was sabotage. I'll tell you what, show me evidence. I'm not saying it's not possible, but if it happened, it's on camera. It's on camera. I mean, somebody would have to be running up to the reflecting pool with like 40-gallon drums of algae. Really? Like, you don't think that's on camera? You don't think there's police in the area that would have caught that? I mean, come on. You got sold a big lie about how it's going to be the greatest reflecting pool ever, and it is like any other reflecting pool. It gets dirty. That's it. I don't think we need to make a fuss of it. That's all it is. You got sold something that was never probably even possible other than for maybe a couple days. By the way, did you guys see Mark Zuckerberg sitting next to Trump, friendly with Trump at the event, UFC 250? How does that one make you feel? The guy that censored you and helped the Democrats steal the election is now friendly with Trump. How does that make you guys feel? Just curious. All right, funny moment on Steve Bannon. This is one of the greatest gaslighting moments I think you may ever see on the Bannon War Room earlier today. Listen to this. This is funny.
Israel is not seeking to expand at all.
Israel come on, that's what's going on in Lebanon.
Hang on. Rabbi Walicki, what is going on in Lebanon? The Greater Israel Project.
The Greater Israel Project is a figment of your imagination. There's no such thing as the Greater Israel Project. Israel seeks to defend its borders. Israel is not seeking to expand at all.
Oh my God. Oh, that's a good one on a Monday. Didn't that? It's all right. Hey, I understand it's tough. When you've been selling the same lie and the same talking points and the same overall perspective for years and been getting away with it, that you stick to it. It's routine. It's over. Everybody sees what Israel is in the Middle East and what Israel isn't in the Middle East. Everybody sees the influence Israel has over our government, our media, our foreign policy, etc. Everybody sees it now. You can't deny it anymore. Like, you look, it's ridiculous. But I get it. For years, they've been able to deny it. For years, they've been able to gaslight and lie and deceive, and nobody really knew any better. The game is up. The game is over. The gig is up. I mean, that's the perfect response there. He's like, Israel has no desire to expand its borders. It's like, oh my gosh, are you a professional stand-up comedian? We got to get you at an open mic, because that is hilarious. I mean, that is gold. Israel has no intention of expanding its borders, as they are literally moving into Palestine and selling land right now. Which by the way, I never played this. I'm not going to play it now. Maybe I will some other time. I have a video. There was a secret Israeli real estate meeting about a year and a half ago. You may have seen this. There was a secret, very exclusive Israeli real estate meeting a couple years ago, and an undercover journalist snuck in and recorded it. And in this meeting, they were all discussing how they're about to take over Palestine and chop up all of the land and sell it to Israelis. But you could only sell it to an Israeli. So they all know that this is true. They all know that this is true. And then they try to go on TV and tell you otherwise. Like, Israel was planning this. This was a military-style demolition of Palestine so that Israel could expand its borders to the beach. You guys, that's been the plan forever, and you're just pretending like you have fooled everybody here. But now everybody knows it, and you just look like fools trying to argue otherwise. By the way, I'm curious. We had the anniversary of the attack on the USS Liberty, and some of the survivors were on Capitol Hill. But it's funny because, normally when veterans are on Capitol Hill, everybody wants to honor them. Normally when veterans are on Capitol Hill, every Republican wants to take a photo with them and bring them to their office and do all the grandstanding, and we all celebrate. Why didn't that happen last week with the survivors of the USS Liberty, except for Thomas Massey's office? I'm just curious. Why wasn't there a grand welcome ceremony, thank you, photo opportunity, everybody there on Congress? If it was any other group of veterans, that would be the case. Any other group of veterans, Congress would be honoring them and shaking their hands and saying thank you and doing photo ops. Why didn't that happen with the USS Liberty survivors last week? Why weren't they honored? Why didn't they get the handshakes? Why didn't they get the photo ops? Why didn't people make a big deal out of their presence on the Capitol last week? Why isn't it they didn't get that special treatment in D.C.? Isn't that weird? All right. Did you guys hear? Probably did. This is a crazy one. Anti-Semitic Cornell student turns down interview because he's not interested in working for a Jew. Now, there's a little bit more of a backstory here. The headline is accurate. There's perhaps a little more context. It's not as bad as it sounds, but this is the young man right here from Cornell University, Austin Franco. Okay, so this young guy, he's getting attacked by all the media outlets. By the way, this is like what the left wing does to young men. If you recall, they pile up, they gang up. This is the woke right. Black Lives Matter, fighting for black victimhood, that's the big woke left. Fighting anti-Semitism, fighting Jew hatred, that's the big woke right. And when you start to break these things down analytically, you realize that it's the exact same thing. The same logic that the left uses when it comes to black America is the same logic that the right uses when it comes to Jewish America. Exact same. It's just the people that they're going woke for just look different. Other than that, it's the exact same. So they're all ganging up on this kid now. Now, you can say you like that, you don't like that. Here's what I find funny. So now the Trump DOJ is getting involved. Now, I think they're smart enough that they know they don't really have any legal recourse here. Now, don't be surprised if they try to take legal recourse, but there's really no legal recourse here. Now, we'll see what they end up doing, but Leo Terrell, he is part of Trump's Department of Justice fighting anti-Semitism. That's his role. There's a whole wing of the Trump administration that is just to protect Jews. So again, that's woke right. It'd be like if the Biden administration had something to protect blacks, or like a Black Lives Matter wing of the administration, that'd be woke left. So it's the same thing. So Leo Terrell, who, by the way, all these people repost themselves 24/7. That's how desperate they are. So Leo Terrell has been lambasting against this. He says, if the Jew hater is ever hired, please post and I will retweet. So he's been focusing on this young kid. What is he, like 19 years old? He's been focusing on this young kid because he was having some job interview problems, said he didn't want to work for a Jewish person. So, okay, whatever you think about that, the DOJ is involved. Now, here's what I find incredible, because I was monitoring this over the weekend. This young man was covered in almost every media outlet. They covered this young man, and they called him an anti-Semite, and they ran with the attacks. And then even the Trump DOJ members got involved in this story, inserted themselves into this story. They're watching this young man. They're paying attention to where this young 19-year-old man, this anti-Semite, they're going to be monitoring him. Okay. But I'm a little confused, I have to say, because we all just sat here for an entire week. In fact, I had to deal with YouTube because of some of the clips we played. We all sat here for an entire week and we watched people make direct threats against white Americans. Hundreds of people, millions of views, direct threats of violence and even death threats against white people. So extreme that you can't even play them on this platform. And we all watched this for an entire week, and not a single person from the DOJ said a word. Not a single person. The names and the identities of these people have not been published anywhere in the press. Zero, including the New York Post. Now, again, you want to have your problem with this young man? Fine. You want to say you have no problem with all these other guys that are espousing direct threats of violence? Okay. But tell me how you're going to hold those two beliefs at the same time, which apparently the Department of Justice is currently doing. So the Department of Justice has zero interest in any of the hundreds of individuals that were making direct threats against an entire group of people for all of last week. And no one in the media is interested in these people. Nobody's publishing their names. Nobody's doxing them. Nobody's saying they shouldn't be hired. Leo Terrell isn't monitoring the situation. The DOJ is silent. But when one young man says, I don't want to work for a Jew, the DOJ is on it. They're monitoring the situation. Every single media outlet is reporting on the story. Now, which is worse? Which is worse? Hundreds of people making direct threats towards an entire group of people, direct violent death threats to an entire group of people, or one young man saying, I don't want to work for a Jewish person. Which one is worse? Which one do you think should be getting the attention of the DOJ? Which one do you think should be getting the attention of the national media? Which one do you think is worse on scale? And which one do you think did get the attention of the DOJ? Which one do you think did get the attention of the national media? And isn't it amazing? I juxtaposed this last week when we played those videos. I said, if the people featured in these videos were saying this about Jewish people, the DOJ would get involved and the national press would get involved. Now, this young man didn't even make a threat. Didn't make any threat, no direct threat, no calls to violence, nothing. Just said, I don't want to work for you. That's all he did. And that's all it took. That's all it took. I thought you'd at least have to make a threat. No. All you had to say was, I don't want to work for you. And the DOJ and the national press is all over it. But when hundreds of people make direct violent threats against an entire group of people, the DOJ is silent and the media is silent. So it didn't even take threats. I thought it would at least take a threat. No, it just took a, I don't want to work for you. That's all it took. You got to admit, that is crazy. That is pretty wild. Now, Stop Anti-Semitism is doxing this lady because she cut down an Israeli flag. Now, meet LA-based resident Dylan Keese Forster. Dylan thinks it's okay to cut down the Israeli flag at a private eatery, climbing on top of the bar to do it. This brazen vandalism and hate should not be tolerated. So here's the video that anti-Semitism is in a conniption fit over. All right, so she stands up on the bar. They're all getting ready to watch the Knicks finals at this bar in New York City. She stands up on the bar, and they got all these world flags. Maybe it's a World Cup theme thing. They have all these world flags up, including the Israeli flag. She stands up on the bar, and she cuts it down. Now, you can kind of hear most people there are cheering it. It looks like one person asks what she's doing. Everyone else is cheering it. The bartender is cheering it. Some people said that she works there. I don't know if that's true or not. But obviously, she had some sort of a clearance to do that. If you're climbing on the bar and the employees are supporting you doing this, then obviously you had some support of cutting down that private property. So there is no crime here. Whether you like it or not, there is no crime here. But they want anti-Semitism and anything they describe as anti-Semitism to be a crime. think whatever you want about this. This is what I've been trying to explain this. And this is why I shot a video over a year ago, might be over 2 years ago now, warning that this was going to be the case. And I said, if you care about Israel and if you care about Jewish people, then you need to realize that the current actions of Israel and the Israeli lobby and the IDF, they're doing more harm to Israel's future and to Jewish people around the world than any of the biggest anti-Semites that you can name out there. So they don't seem to understand this. I mean, I guess we could say it. This hatred for Israel is organic and real and popular. Yeah, you can stand on the bar and cut down an Israeli flag, and the vast majority of Americans will either be indifferent or cheer for you, and the bar owner will either be indifferent or cheer for you. That's the status of Israel. And there's this weird assumption that Israel can just do whatever the hell it wants and there's no repercussions as far as the social response is concerned. And of course, that is just completely out of touch with reality. But this is where we are. Look at this. Over the weekend in Canada, in Toronto, they kick off the World Cup and they have this big World Cup thing outside of the venue in Toronto. And some people go out there and they put a big tarp over it that says, "Kick Israel out of FIFA." So this isn't even about any opinion that I have on the situation. This is about how Netanyahu and the Netanyahu regime and the IDF and their actions in Lebanon, in Syria, in the West Bank, in the Golan Heights, in Gaza, Palestine, you name it, everywhere pretty much. And then the Mark Levins of the world and the Israeli lobby. The reason why Israel is so unpopular is because of them. It's because of their actions. And they're sitting here mad that people are upset and people are protesting, but it's only going to get worse because you're not changing your actions. If I go out and every social encounter that people have with me is negative, then people aren't going to like me. And if I sit there and I say, these people have to like me, and if they don't like me, they're anti-Owenites. They're going to say, no, we don't like you because of your bad behavior. This is the current situation for Israel. And now it's spilling onto us, by the way, because when they rolled out the U.S. flag at the opening match in Mexico and the opening match in Canada, we got booed. The American flag got booed. And, you know, that breaks my heart. That actually breaks my heart. And that tells me that something is wrong here and it shouldn't be that way. The American flag should get universal praise. The United States of America should be in a position of worldwide popularity and support. And the only reason we're not today is because of our foreign policy. And the only reason our foreign policy is so unpopular is because it's being run out of Tel Aviv. And Tel Aviv is in Israel, the least popular country on earth today. So, yeah, I don't want to see people hate Israel. But I don't live in Israel. I'm not an Israeli. I don't have any control or, frankly, interest in what goes on in Israel. I'm an American. I live in America. I want to stay in America. I want to raise a family in America. I want to die in America. And it breaks my heart now that because of our foreign policy, that now we are starting to get some of that hatred. And now we're getting booed and treated like that. And that breaks my heart. And I hope that that's not where we're at. I hope that's not the legacy that these boomers want to leave for us with the boomers' last gasp, Donald Trump. I sure hope not. But let's give FIFA credit. Maybe FIFA really does want to bring the world together. FIFA proposes an Israel versus Palestine match for opener of Youth Football Festival. And you know what? If there's any hope, it is in the youth. If there's any hope, it's in the youth, it's in the kids, and maybe you bring the kids of Palestine and Israel together. Of course, they may have to be dragging kids out of rubble. I don't know how many kids are left in Palestine that even have 2 legs after what Israel has done. But if you can find enough kids in Palestine that have 2 legs and can play football, then, you know, maybe you can have this. But maybe it's the future. Maybe it's the youth that can bring peace, because it's certainly not the generations that are running things right now. The generations running Israel, the generations running the Middle East policies and America's foreign policy, you guys have failed. You guys have failed the kids. You've failed the planet. You failed miserably. All right. Do we want to get into any other stuff? Let's see here. Quickly, did you guys see this from Riley Gaines? I think it's being taken out of context in defense, but yet there is some reality to this that you probably need to hear. So Riley Gaines, listen to what she says over the weekend.
Just to provide some context to the raw footage that was released, which I will say it was a total blunder on Patriot Mobile's end of having that footage where it could be accessed by the public. I guess you got me. It's not natural for me to sit in front of a camera and film myself talking with no teleprompter, with no script. It really was a personal and heartfelt endorsement. But
so she's on this hot mic, hot camera, basically asking people, what to say, how to say it. And, I do think it is taken a bit out of context. I don't know if anybody knows the full context, but it sounds like in the video, she's asking people, hey, what do I think? What do I feel? What am I supposed to say? Now, she's claiming it's all about an ad read and what she can or can't say for a promotional sponsorship situation with Patriot Mobile. I don't know if any of us know the full context. I don't really think there's any conspiracy there. But here's what she said that needs to be understood. And she's just being honest. I mean, she is just being honest. But this is what I think people need to take away from this.
They're pro-life, pro-veteran, pro-military, just to provide some context to the raw footage that was released, which I will say it was a total blunder on Patriot Mobile's end of having that footage where it could be accessed by the public. I guess you got me. It's not natural for me to sit in front of a camera and film myself talking with no teleprompter, with no script.
So there you go. It's not normal for me to be on camera without a script, without a teleprompter. And this is the vast majority of people that are doing political commentary now. Now, I have no problem with Riley Gaines. I like Riley Gaines. I think she's a good person. I think this whole thing is being blown out of proportion, taken out of context. But unfortunately for Riley, this is the situation that she's in. You're in the media now, and you're going to be on camera, and you're going to be live. And if you can't do that without a script or a teleprompter, these are the moments that can happen now. But so it's a learning process for her. So this isn't even an attack on Riley Gaines. I like Riley Gaines. I think Riley is a good person. And I'm glad that she is on our side. But let me explain how this works. First of all, with the new social media world, anybody can kind of get a following. Whether they're good or bad, organic, not, teleprompter or not. So you kind of have that going on. But here's what happens now. Now that you have this new independent media, social media, it's very diverse. These political movements they do this like grab. They do this like net. And they try to bring in as many people as they can to reach different niche audiences. So here's Riley Gaines. Female athlete, doesn't help. She's obviously a good-looking woman. Female athlete, has to compete against men, raises a fuss about it, gets brought into the political world, gets brought into the conservative movement, gets brought into MAGA, and then gets used into a tool to help promote the MAGA agenda and promote Trump for office. And this happens with a bunch of different people. Now, again, Riley Gaines, bless her heart, great person. I think I have nothing negative to say about Riley Gaines. But as she says, she's not a professional. She got out of a swimming pool and got inserted into a political movement. And she's good looking and has enough chemistry that they decided, hey, let's keep her around. Let's continue to use her in the conservative movement. So you don't even necessarily blame them for that. But you need to understand, this is where the vast majority of people are at in this new independent media. They're just fed teleprompters. They're fed scripts. They're not professionals. They really couldn't even do what they do in the media landscape without being totally, I don't want to say controlled, because I don't believe it's a controlled aspect, but I mean, let's say guided. They basically are bowling with bumpers, is what it is. They're bowling with bumpers. And so that's why when you look at how watered down the media is, when you look at people that are just like abandoning political media, getting sick of the political media, it's because it's so watered down with stuff like that. It's like, hey, let's just bring in this girl over here and put her in front of a camera, just give her a teleprompter, give her a script, tell her to read our political talking points, and we'll be good to go. Well, we don't do that here. No, this is all real, all organic, no scripts, no talking points, no political agendas other than, I guess, to save the country, promote freedom and prosperity, logical consistency. Never had a teleprompter. Always going to be that way. By the way, did you guys see this? Clav has butchered his face. He's gone. Maybe, I don't know much about plastic surgery. Maybe it's too early, I guess. I don't know if it's too early to really judge whether these surgeries are good or not. Man. You know, sometimes the pursuit of perfection ends up being a pursuit of destruction. Now, I think this guy kind of lost his mind somewhere along the way months ago. Now he's butchered his face, and nobody would even recognize him, which is crazy. Can you imagine that? You go up to like an old friend you haven't seen in like 10 years, and you're like, hey, it's me. And they're like, who? That's not you. It's a totally different face. And I wonder, this is just from my perspective, because I could never imagine having any cosmetic surgery. Not judging you if you do. I just could never imagine it. But I feel like if you're willing to, I couldn't imagine looking at myself in the mirror and seeing someone else. It's like maybe if you had a little imperfection, or maybe you wanted like a nose to like your bridge was too big, like maybe a little thing, maybe, you know, people get Botox, whatever. It's like, but as long as you're looking at yourself in the mirror, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm still looking at myself in the mirror. I could not even comprehend looking at yourself in the mirror and it's not you. It's somebody totally different. And I feel like in order to have that experience or to want that experience, I feel like there's nothing behind the face. If you're willing to live behind a different face, then there's nothing behind the face. You're just a face. That's how I interpret that. If you can look in the mirror at a different person, then there is nobody behind your face. There's nothing behind it. It's just that. It's totally superficial. There's no depth there. And that's tragic. That's tragic. Did you guys see the Japanese soccer fans cleaning up after the game? There are superior cultures, and the Japanese is one of them. They cleaned up their entire section after the game. And then some of the Japanese fans were interviewed. And they said, yes, this is our culture. This is how we're raised. You clean up after yourself. You leave the place as you found it. Big ups to the Japanese fans and their samurai blue. What a game to come back against the Netherlands as well. A fun day for them, and then they cleaned up their mess afterwards. There are superior cultures. The Japanese are one of them. Great etiquette from the Japanese fans. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. All right. Short break. Catch my breath. Come back, and we'll read the super chats and sign off.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right. Little bonus time for our super chats today. We got quite a few to get to. I'm sure there'll be a couple more before we sign off. What else do we have coming up this week? We got a couple. I think we got some bonus material this week. It's not all scheduled yet. I know tomorrow after I sign off the show, I'm going on with the Revenge of the Sis Boys. Got a couple other interviews we're trying to get finalized. We may even, we might. There's rumors of a DMT in studio show. There's rumors. There's grumblings. We're not sure. It's kind of like the Trump peace deal. We hear things, but we're not sure. We want to see the deal done before we can really decide if it's a deal or not. All right. Hey, guys, before I do this, reminder, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do today. It is so important for the show. We were doing really great on YouTube because our numbers were growing steadily. And now because our subscriber numbers have kind of, stagnated out a little bit from the original growth, that's kind of hurting the growth of the channel. Because the YouTube algorithm rewards you when you're gaining followers. So when we were really gaining followers and picking up followers in the first couple of months, the YouTube algorithm was rewarding us, putting it on people's feeds, putting it at the top of their landing page, putting it in the recommended. And because we've kind of stalled out on the followers, they've stopped promoting the show outside of the people that follow. So please, if you haven't yet, go to our YouTube channel, The Owen Report on YouTube. Please give us a subscribe. Give us a follow on YouTube. That really helps build the show. And we've just noticed that in the algorithm, it's not rewarding our live streams as much. It's not rewarding our content as much because those follower numbers have kind of, they keep going up, but they've slowed as far as the original. So if you haven't followed us on YouTube, please give us a follow on YouTube. It really means a lot to the success and the growth of the show. Really appreciate that. To those that follow us on Rumble, rumble.com/Owen, thank you. We continue to do good numbers on Rumble. We love our Rumble audience over there. X audience, good, loyal as well. And remember, if you want to listen to the audio archives, you can find the show at iHeartRadio, at Apple iTunes, and Spotify. The Owen Report is there as well. And for all of the official merchandise of the Owen Report, all you need to do is go to owenschroyer.store. That's owenschroyer.store for show merchandise. All right. Thank you, guys. Billy Cardano leading us off. What negative human characteristic do you find least appealing? Greed, disloyalty, unkindness, arrogance, being holier than thou, something else. Least appealing. Well, I don't know if disloyalty would be the right word. Maybe untrustworthiness. Untrustworthiness. I'm thinking like backstabbing, gaslighting. Human characteristic, the least appealing. I mean, nobody likes arrogance. Nobody likes ignorance. You combine those two and you have a deadly combo. It's like I can deal with arrogance. I can deal with ignorance. I cannot deal with arrogance and ignorance combined. And I really don't like untrustworthiness. But I don't know if I would say those are the least appealing. I mean, I feel like there's much worse stuff. But that's kind of where my gut takes me in response to that. Tay, Texas GOP worse than Florida GOP. Texas elephant urinated all over. Yeah, well, I saw that elephant urination video, and I will give Greg Abbott credit because that was a disaster, and the Democrats were using it. And then Abbott did a remake, and the elephant is peeing on a Democrat logo. So he was able to kind of turn that around. Fishback confronted H1 Byron with a guy in a chicken suit. Yeah, I saw the bullhorn confrontation. People are giving Fishback a hard time for that. And I can certainly understand it. As far as the optics are concerned, it doesn't look good. It kind of looks desperate. It looks like you're coming from behind. But here's the thing. People don't understand. You get to a certain point and you have to act desperate. I mean, they're not even letting a debate happen. So I don't know what people, if you want to give Fishback a hard time for the bullhorn thing, well, I'm just curious, what is he supposed to do? They won't do a debate. Donalds won't debate him. So how are you supposed to get the Florida people's attention? How are you supposed to let the Florida people know that you're running and what you stand for? So it reaches this point where it becomes a necessity. Believe me, I understand, it's like, okay, what about optically and the different, judgments that people might make because of it? It doesn't even matter because you weigh your options and you say you don't have an option. It's like I can sit here and consider that, hey, somebody might not like this, or here's what it might perceive to some people. But what are you going to do? You have to do it. And the reason why I assert that as such an authoritative opinion is because this is what we were forced to do when we were banned off the internet. This is what I was personally forced to do when I was banned from the internet. So much so that I got arrested for it one time at the Capitol. And it also proved how they let, the Trump protesters there every day, and they didn't let one person with a piece of tape over his mouth that likes Trump even exist. But no, it becomes an exercise of necessity, and you say, yeah, I might not want to make this scene here today. I might not want to get on a bullhorn and be obnoxious today. I might not want to do this while I'm running for an election. I might not want to get arrested today. It becomes a situation. They try to silence you. They try to remove you. What else are you going to do? You got to fight for yourself. You got to stand up for yourself. So I understand the commentary against Fishback for doing it, but I also understand exactly why he did it. He had to. Dust Vault, Sean Strickland, 2028. The people's champ. Sean liked that. You see, we got to get Sean on the show. That'd be a fun one. I wish I would have known he would have been in D.C. That might have motivated me to go. Unlikely, but it might have. It might have. But Sean Strickland, I said Sean Strickland is the people's champion, and he liked that. He shared that. So big ups to Sean, the people's champ. Dick Scott tried to stop Ye Tampa. Ye had 2 nights in Chicago. I'm not really keeping up with that. I know they're trying to stop him from performing in America. It's the same culprits. It's the same people complaining. So you're not allowed to do a concert if you're anti-Semitic in America. I mean, what a joke. He even did the apology tour. He went around and kissed the rabbis and washed their feet, and he still can't even do a show. Can he even get his kids back? I don't know. Barron looks like Justin Trudeau with baby fat. No, Barron looks like his father, but he did get the freshman 15. The freshman 15 got Barron, guys. It got him. Employ strong for life. Your first Croatian language lesson. Anjmo Hrvatska. Let's go Croatia is what you said, and I appreciate you rooting for Croatia. Okay. Croats have a Dallas parade Tuesday. They say it's going to be good. Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm telling you, I am. You know what? Maybe the credit goes to the World Cup fans because the World Cup fans are so awesome. But they're having a great time in America. They're loving the experience. They're loving the games. And I like that. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel good that we have tourists from all over the world coming to our country and loving it. That makes me feel good. And I'm sure that parade in Dallas is going to be awesome. I wish I was there. It's going to be great. And if you make it, have fun. And I'll root for Croatia if I have a personal interest in them winning. Let's leave it at that. Fox Corp buying Roku. Yeah, they were. I was actually surprised. Fox came out and they were right. They were saying, look, everything's going digital. Everything's going online. We're trying to get we're trying to increase our footprint by purchasing Roku. I saw that and I went and I assumed that Roku's stock would have gone up. Roku was actually down today. So that tells me the negotiations are ongoing. But it seems the deal is done, at least as far as they're going to do it. They just don't know all the details yet. Is there a stream Friday? Actually, the next 2 Fridays are currently in limbo. I don't know. Wifey must have some inside intel to even be asking that. The next 2 Fridays are currently in limbo because I've got people in town for Father's Day this Friday, and then I have people in town for my birthday next Friday. Now, luckily, I'm in the home studio, so all I got to do is, pop upstairs, or I'm sorry, go into my mom's garage and do the show. But Friday, the next 2 Friday shows are in limbo. As of right now, I plan to do both of them. But you never know once the friends and family get to town for Father's Day and then my birthday, you never know. But we'll keep you posted. We'll keep you posted. Anna X, Trump still has time to turn this around. Are you buying into my hope today, or do you think I'm delusional? I'm surprised there aren't more people in the chat calling me delusional. I appreciate that. You guys are being nice to me today. Thank you. Big Mike has pythons for arms and maybe one in the pants as well. Yeah. Well, that's the second time he's done that after a fight. shouting Michelle Obama is a man, or what did he say? Michelle Obama is a man, or Michelle Obama has a penis, one of those things. You can be a woman with a penis now, though. So you have to be very specific here. Is Michelle Obama a man, or is Michelle Obama a woman with a penis? Joe Rogan did not offer a follow-up question, and America might have wanted to know the answer, or they just wanted to get him the hell off of the stage. So you know what? Of the whole event that went impressively well, that was probably the only thing that they say was not supposed to happen, at least as far as we know. But that was funny. That was funny. On Paramount. DZ, Trump before midterms, peace deal after, more bombs. You think it's going to be that extended? I don't know. I would see. I think part of the reason why I'm kind of flipping the switch on this is the reaction from the Israeli lobby here is legitimate. I mean, they look like they've taken the L on this deal big time. And I know it's like they always crash out. They always spaz out anytime there's a thought of peace. It's like, that's not new. Anytime peace is proposed, they're always crashing out and freaking out. But this one just feels different. I don't know. It just feels different. It could be I'm just being a hopeful up here. I will tell you, though, last time I regretted not selling all of my stock and the market corrected. The market is back up today. I am probably going to dump everything. I will tell you. I'm concerned. Now, they could pump all week. They could pump the stock market all week and then go right back to War Monday and dump it again. That wouldn't surprise any of us. In fact, that would be the pattern that they've been on. So I'm probably going to go cautious this time. I went aggressive last time. I was able to hold and make up most of the ground. I'm probably going to dump everything. Don't take any advice. Don't take any stock financial advice. I'm just telling you, I don't bet with my heart. You know that. If I was betting with my heart, I'd be betting that we're going to have a lengthy peace deal and the market's going to go boom. If I was betting with my heart, that's what I would do today. I don't bet with my heart. I'm betting with my head tomorrow probably and dumping everything, assuming next week is going to be a major correction. So that's where I'm at. Owen, what is wifey making you for dinner tonight? It's a good question. You should ask her. Working in the Carolina heat today, installing fences, and customers didn't offer a single drop of water. Is Southern hospitality a Northern myth? Well, which Carolina were you in? If you're in North Carolina, they should be ecstatic after the Stanley Cup victory last night. I don't know. If you were down here, you would definitely get offered water. If you were in Texas right now, you would definitely be offered a water. And my people in Missouri as well. I don't know South Carolina. I'm surprised. Maybe it's just you're in the wrong area. Maybe, I don't know. But hey, listening to the show, installing fences, big ups, Billy. The Hacktivist, CNN is reporting a B-52 bomber crashing at Edwards Air Force Base in California with no footage of the bomber crashing. How long until they blame it on Iran? Haven't seen that. I'm going to have to wait. Haven't seen that. Don't want to comment. Come home, Trump. Come back to first month of the administration, and I will gladly be back all aboard the Gentile Trump train. Put Netanyahu in prison, and I'm back. He wouldn't be alone. It would unite the country. We all know it. You'll come crawling back to Rabbi Trump. They're right. I'm going to be on my knees. Hey, I said if Trump saves the country, I don't care. Yeah, that's what I voted for. That's what I wanted. That's not like it's like, no, that's what we wanted. This is us winning. It's like, that's the crazy thing. It's not about, you're crawling back to Trump. It's like, no, we want to win. I want to win. It's like the people say, you just want to complain. You'll just move the goalpost. You don't get it. I just want to win. I just want America to be free and prosperous again. I just want America to be independent again. I just want America to be affordable again. It's really not complicated. There's no crawling back to anything. It's if Trump does it, I celebrate. That's a win. If he doesn't do it, I'm upset. That's not what I voted for. That's a loss. These people just live off of Oh, is it good for Trump, bad for Trump? It's a bad day when they can make the Schick Secker 2 by all. Oh, I see. I see. Is that a direct reference to something? Did you see the Economist cover? Any takeaways? Do I need to look that up? I don't know which one. The World Cup Paradox, Eat the Rich, The New Shape of War. These are the latest three. The World Cup Paradox is the latest. So I don't know. I hadn't seen it. I just looked it up. I'm not so sure if I have any takeaways. Not really. Shocking that never Trumpers are never Trumping. They're back home. They're back home. Let's get Trump back home. Now both sides of the ride are mad at Trump. Who didn't see this coming? And suddenly MAGA is moving to the side of peace. Never trust them again. Well, let's hope they move to the side of peace. They're mad right now. They're mad at peace. I'm happy at peace. I'm happy at peace. I'm even happy with Trump today. I'm like, top former Trump, now Trump critic guy. Like that's the number one incoming for me is all the people that support Trump that hate me because I don't support him hard enough. I'm happy with Trump today. I'm happy there's a peace deal. I'm happy he's expressing that he wants to get this deal done. And yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't help it, man. It's like watching your ex-wife be miserable or something. I don't have any ex-wives, but I can imagine watching the neocons freak out. Like when the neocons are unhappy, I get a sense of righteousness. When the neocons and the foreign lobbyists and the foreign loyalists are all crashing out and crying with their heads down, I get a sense of pride. I get a sense of everything is finally right in American conservatism when the foreign loyalists and the neocon coalition are bawling their eyes out at the concept of peace. I get a certain sense of happiness from that. I must admit. And I just hope it lasts. I just hope the high lasts because it would be nice for everybody, for the whole world, really. Miss Anita, serious question. Do we also do false flags on Israel? Well, I don't even know what that would, I don't even know how or why I wouldn't say no. I just can't really point to any instance or how I would even apply such a theory. But I do feel like we are in the realm of a false flag. And let's just hope not. Maybe Trump watched Sean Strickland perp walk and said, I'm done with these Lady Lindsays and the Princer Scepter wands. Well, I don't think they actually arrested Sean. I've been in a similar situation. Now with Sean, it was different because that was a crowd of supporters. But I go into that stuff into a crowd of haters and enemies. And eventually the cops basically look at me and they'll say, hey, we can't protect you here, but we can get you out of here. What do you want to do? And so, they perp walk you. They're not actually perp walking you. But yeah, they escort you out. They might even take you to a vehicle, police vehicle, whatever, to get you out of the scene. So I don't think Sean got a ticket or any citation or any charges. I think they just, they said, hey, look, dude, here's the deal. We can't protect you in here, but we can get you out of here. So do you want to go? If you want to go, we can escort you out. Just come with us. If not, I don't know what we can do to help you in this mob of people. So I think that's kind of the situation. And they let him record from the back of the paddy wagon. So obviously they weren't detaining him. And he looked like he was all fun too. And I'm sure the cops liked him. Remember when we couldn't even say we liked Trump? Well, in front of who? I never had that problem. Is Pastor Locke en route to Tel Aviv yet? I don't know. I will say, last I heard, he had lost his son, I think, to suicide about a month or two ago. I don't think I've seen or heard from Pastor Locke since then. So that's an unfortunate tragedy. I don't think I've seen or heard from him since that announcement. Will Laura Loomer show Trump today, second hour? Oh, I'm sorry. Will Laura Loomer show Trump today, second hour? Like you're meaning Trump as a verb? Like it's going to be better than my second hour? I don't know. I think I don't see any of Loomer's stuff anymore because I like my mental clarity and sanity. So I don't see any of her stuff anymore. She's got to be crashing out over this. I'm sure Loomer is crashing out over the concept of peace. I'm sure Loomer is mad that Trump won't kill millions of Muslims. So, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know. Not really interested, to be honest. Wifey, hubby is a vanguard. Thanks, babe. Now go guard the van. Brandon, Mark Levin, and Ben Shapiro, they always run from debates. I don't think I've ever seen Levin in a debate. You know, Ben kind of championed himself as a debater, but he's abandoned the platform. Ben always dodged the best, like Mehdi, Andrew Wilson, and Dave Smith. Same with Tucker and Mark. Well, the Shapiro debate is obvious. I don't think Levin's ever debated. I don't think, Levin is too much of a chicken shit to probably ever debate anybody. Shapiro shouldn't be that way. Shapiro postures himself as the intellectual superior and, the champion debater. When was the last time he debated? The Ben Shapiro debate platform is very clear. Ben Shapiro should probably debate Dave Smith and or Tucker Carlson. Now, everybody would love to see Ben Shapiro debate Nick Fuentes. The problem is Ben can never debate Nick Fuentes because just Ben being on the same stage as Nick Fuentes is a victory for Nick. There's nothing that can happen. It doesn't matter what is said or what happens during that debate. If Nick Fuentes is on the same stage, on the same debate platform as Ben Shapiro, Nick wins, period. It's over. That's the victory right there. So it doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter what's said, Nick wins. So that's why Shapiro will never platform the Nick debate. He'll never do it because he knows that that's it. It's over. Nick wins if that happens. But at least with Dave Smith, it's like, okay, here's like a libertarian American Jew versus a neocon American Jew. That's a good debate platform as far as the ramifications of the Trump administration and the foreign policy is concerned. That's a great debate. You'd think Ben would be willing to do it. Or Tucker Carlson. Honestly, Ben debating Tucker Carlson would be Ben playing up. That would be Ben going to the major leagues. Ben is not really a major leaguer. Ben is like, did you guys ever have this as a kid? Probably. You may have seen this a time or two. There maybe was a kid on the high school team or like the select soccer team or something who probably didn't really belong there. Maybe the summer league ball team. There was always a kid that probably didn't have the skills, didn't have the talent to actually be on the team, but his dad bought all the jerseys or, something like that. Some way we're going to make sure the kid is on the team. Hey, the dad will make a donation to the sports program. Hey, the dad will make a donation to the new wing of the gymnasium. Hey, the dad buys all the soccer equipment, whatever it is. And so the kid's on the roster. That's kind of Ben Shapiro. Ben, he's not untalented, but he's not really a big leaguer. But he has, his dad kind of buys the studio, buys the equipment, so he gets to be in the big leagues. So really a Ben Tucker Carlson debate, that would be Ben actually getting to step up and be a real big leaguer for a day. So he's probably too scared of that pressure. So I think a Ben Shapiro, Dave Smith debate would be really great. But you got to ask, when does Ben debate anymore? I don't see it. I don't think Ben even does anything that might stand against his ideas anymore. Seems to be running from it. I haven't seen it. Owen Jones Schroyer, I saw Loomer got some fresh lip injections for Trump birthday. Guys, can we just... Oh. You guys. Swamp in the swamp. It's just a reflecting pool. It's okay. Go take a swim. Girls in sewers. Call the Ghostbusters. Did you see that? Did you see that? You saw that, right? That's crazy. Randy Fine took a bath. Reflective pool case solved. Ah, makes sense. Makes sense. Swamp creature in the swamp. What in particular lifted the veil for you? What veil? And now I need to, you got to give me, I can't. I know I said it earlier, but I got to, it's not helping me. Coach Sarah, would you moderate a panel governor debate in Florida? Well, of course, that'd be an honor. I feel like it would be a little out of place since I'm a Texan. But if I was asked to do it, I would, that would be a distinct honor. Absolutely. I would do that. Clav Ilya Toropiad his own face. You know, there was a conspiracy theory that he wanted that because he wanted a rhinoplasty and he wanted Gaethje to break his nose just so he could get a nose job. I don't believe that. But that's what they were saying. But he got it. He got a nice facial pounding to he can go to a plastic surgery. He'll probably need it after that beating. And give him credit, man. He stood up there and took a pounding, and he just wouldn't give up. That was a great fight. Growing up in Toronto, we used to carry the USA anthem at sporting events. Sad to see the behavior and attitude change. Yeah. We got a taste of that at the Four Nations tournament last summer, if you recall. Ken Rose, thank you. Can you get Alex on as a guest from Zool? Well, I don't know. I don't even want to respond to that. Can we get Thomas Holman on the show from A-Rod Blends? Probably not. I'm probably still considered a no-go zone from the Trump administration, at least publicly. But we will get Greg Bovino on soon. And he'll be making news, I think, soon, too, as well. La Bellissima. Owen, do you like my new profile pic? I do. I do. And that was a funny little troll that I did. And I thought that the girl that I was kind of making fun of there, I thought that she would think it was funny. She got mad at that. And she said I was gay. Darn. Well, what would you know? Nothing. Plot twist. Tay-Tay was in the chicken costume. Now, that would be funny if that was true. Do you have some sandbags on standby for the floods that are coming? Protect the garage. Yeah, guys, look, my garage is open and there's no water coming in. The floods are crazy here. I live in, I don't want to give away my location, an undisclosed location. I'm at a pretty high point. We don't have any flooding problems really here because I'm at one of the high points in Austin. So my neighborhood isn't really an issue for flooding. But it's been nonstop flood warnings. The rain this month has been crazy. We had a very dry spring, but June has been probably overly saturated. I'm thinking we're definitely above our normal rain rate in June, but we were way behind leading up to June, so we kind of needed it. But yeah, it's like raining every day here. But didn't this weekend, man? We had a great weekend. The permanent rain stopped for this weekend, but it's back to raining today. But we'll be good. The garage is going to be okay. Thank you for your concern. What kind of cake do I bake this year, babe? The only cake I like is yours. So no need. I really don't even like cake. I don't eat cake. I don't like cake. I really don't even like sweets. You can get me with a cookie, you know, but you know what they say about cookies. Apologize. I had no idea about Pastor Locke's son. Yeah, I mean, he just, he did a social media post about it, and then I think just kind of disappeared for a while. I don't know. That was just the last I saw or heard. So, well, okay, you're apologetic. You were kind of making a joke. It's all right. Don't feel bad. You didn't know. It's all right. And you know what? It was a fair joke anyway. It was a fair joke. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his status after they had that loss in the family. I don't know. So, but hey, that's why you're here. So we got it all. We got all the information for you here. So there you go. Even the stuff that maybe you don't want to know about, There it is. And that's going to do it. That's going to do it for today. We're going to take a little break. It's going to be a 20-hour break because we went long today. It's a 20-hour break here. We'll be back, same time, same channel tomorrow. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody for the super chats. Remember, guys, please give us a follow. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. Really means a lot. Appreciate that. All right, the Monday transmission is in the book. We're going to get back to more of the normal routine tomorrow, but I had to do what I did today. I had to do it. I explained why. The deed is done. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. God bless. Godspeed. We'll see you same time, same channel tomorrow.